In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. George Orwell. Yeah. This is Blood Politics. The only podcast where we don't talk about politics. We be about politics. And our mission statement is to empower, educate, and encourage everyone to speak out against fascism. Speak out against injustice and fight for freedom and equality for everyone. This is Blood Politics, and we ain't stopping till they put us in the grave. We ain't gonna be quiet, and we ain't gonna be scared, and we ain't gonna go along with the crowd. This is Blood Politics.
We got a ton to get to. We got a ton to get to, a ton to talk about. What do you say we dive right into it? Holy crap, what a morning we have to deal with. Just another morning filled with craziness, debauchery, lunacy, the lack of intelligence, the whole 9 yards. We got to talk about it. Of course, you guys, I'm sure, have heard about the post. We'll be speaking about that as well, some right-wing reaction to it. We'll be talking about how some of the news, the different news wings, from the right and to the left, and different people are covering it and talking about it. I find it absolutely ridiculous that any news outlet would just kind of, say it verbatim and report it, and then not kind of talk about how insane and genocidal the rhetoric and the statement it is coming from Donald Trump. We got a lot to dive into. Before we get into all the craziness, before I fly off the fucking handle right off the jump, what do we say? We say hi to the chat. Bring you guys in, let some people filter in. Appreciate you guys joining me on all platforms, whether that be Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, or Substack. Please make sure you hit the like button on the way in. It really does help show people that not only we're live, but you guys are engaged and like what you're watching. Sends it out to different people, helps with the old algorithm. So please, thank you guys so much for doing that. And then subscribe to the channel. If you're watching on a platform that allows you to subscribe, please think about doing so. It's free to do so, doesn't cost you a dime, and just goes to help the show. There's also a ton of different ways in which you guys can help. Again, we try to do things independently here. This is the true meaning of independent media. No outside sponsors, no outside backers. We don't sell you anything. No outside ads or outside resources. Everything here is in-house, for us, by us, and with us. So again, big shout out to everybody heading over to the merch site to try to support the stream. So I really do appreciate you guys heading over there. Thank you to everybody that showed up last night for the VIP Zoom, for the Zoom last night, for the Patreon members. It's always good to hang out with you guys. Good to see you guys as well. Very much appreciate you guys and your support over there. All right, so what's going on, Chad? What's going on, Tiff? How are you? What's going on, Yakov? Good to see you last night, my brother. What's going on, Triplia? How are you? And everybody over there on Twitch. How are you, Jamie? What's going on, Facebook people? How's everybody over there doing? What's going on, Sarah? What's going on, Midas Cam? Hey, Adam. What's going on, brother? Hey, Teague. How are you, dear? Good to see you. What's up, Julie? What's up, Philly? Steve? Ton of people here today. I like it. What's up, Roxanne, Alyosha, Adam? Andrea. Thank you guys for all that you guys do as well. Good to see you last night, Alyosha. What's that? Mr. Rising Mojo. Love the name over there on Twitch. Thank you so much. What's up, Blunt Front? What's up, Gail? What's up, Kimberly? Ton of people here today. What's up, Dame? Appreciate you, brother. All right, let's say we hop into a little bit of the nonsense, a little bit of the craziness. Again, before we dive into it, I probably should inform you that today is Tuesday, April 7th, 2026. Hopefully a date that doesn't have to go down in infamy and live on, but I'm afraid that we are kind of on the cusp of, further escalation. We've been seeing, strikes on bridges. We've seen strikes on Cog Island. We've seen this thing kind of, ramp up to a point that kind of matches Donald Trump's rhetoric. And again, he's talking about the 8 o'clock deadline, like it's some sort of reality TV show. Everybody, wait and watch to see what happens. So again, everybody's kind of trying to decipher, trying to kind of get down to what may be taking place as we look at what's ongoing at this moment in time. But let me see if we can throw a couple of these stories on the screen for you guys, because there's a ton that I wanted to dive into. Let's see here. Which one is this? US. Yeah, I think it's this one. Sorry, I'm overloading my computer at this point. I think we're kind of on the limits as far as the amount of tabs that I could have open at one time because of the amount of craziness that's taking place. So hopefully we can get through everything smoothly. Not sure how long it's going to take us because there's a lot to cover, but hit that like button. I really do appreciate you guys. All right, let me throw this on the screen. This is from CNN. Again, this is just U.S. strikes military targets on Iran's Karg Island. It looks like Donald Trump's at least either trying to make a stand or a show, or at least, trying to make it seem like he's going after the oil. We've heard him reference this a bunch of times yesterday, talking about the spoils of war, and to the victor go the spoils. He couldn't think of it. He couldn't remember the saying, but that's what he was trying to come up with. And he's always talked about how he wanted to take the oil from whatever nation we decided to invade next. That he's been saying for quite some time. But it does seem like in some way, shape, or form, Israel's kind of taken over the bridge strikes as far as what's been reported. And it looks like the U.S. has been kind of focused on, I believe they were reporting some 90 or 100 different targets, military targets on Karg Island. We'll probably get a little bit more info and detail coming out of this one. We're going to try to jump around and hit a bunch of different clips and hit a bunch of different, articles to try to get up to speed and up to date on what's taking place. Obviously, speculation on what we're going to see coming from this. Obviously, I want to hear from you guys in the chat on all platforms on, kind of where you stand, what you think about the rhetoric, the post from Donald Trump. Where do you think this is going to lead to? What's the ultimate goal, if there is one? Let me know in the chat what you guys think. Let's get a conversation going in there as well. So, all right, let's dive into it. Like I said, ton to get to, not a ton of time to do it. Hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel. It means a ton to do it. It's free to do it. Doesn't cost you a single red cent. You can sign up just underneath me for a YouTube membership. Cost you way less than a gallon of gas for a month. Think about the bang for the buck on that one. Then obviously you can head over to patreon.com. We just did and are going through a whole revamping of the Patreon system and the different perks that everybody gets. So I hope you guys find some added value in that. I appreciate everybody supporting once again. And then obviously you can do the old fashioned route and just head over to the chat, throw in a super sticker, throw in a super chat. An emoji, a couple comments in there, tells the algorithm all it needs to know. All right, let's dive into it. This is, again, CNN talking about the strikes on Karg Island and what else may be taking place. Let's see if we can get some further detail before we dive into the rest of this nonsense. Like I said, we'll bring up, obviously, Donald Trump's Truth Social post, and then we'll be looking at some surprising right-wing reaction to it, probably from some people you would probably expect, and then others you wouldn't expect to have that sort of reaction. All right, let's dive into it. Hit that like button. I appreciate you guys. I'm Brian. This is Blunt Politics. In case you're just joining us for the first time, I really do appreciate your time. Thank you for giving me the shot here at giving you the news and the updates and my opinions. Hope you find a welcoming place in the old Chasky there. All right, let's head into it. Thanks, guys.
We are just learning of new reports of explosions on Karg Island. This handles almost all of Iran's oil exports, about 90%. If you look at that map, it's actually, you can see it all the way up there at the top of the Persian Gulf. They're just off the coast of Iran. President Trump has repeatedly threatened to bomb or seize the island, and there have been strikes before. Oil prices have been spiking over the last few minutes since the reports have been coming in of these strikes, up about 2 to 3% in the numbers that I've seen. Again, now over 3%.
I'll tell you right now. Let me throw this on the screen. So right now, Sorry, it keeps muting me. But this is what we're looking at as far as oil prices. So WTI up at about 114, Brent up at about 110. And again, the markets are actively, I should say, reacting with volatility because of the, again, the chaos, the uncertainty of what's to come, the recent strikes on different oil facilities. Again, the strikes on Karg Island. This is, again, just going on top of the closure of the Strait of Hormuz and the ongoing pressure that's been putting on the world economy. Obviously, the oil trade, the gas prices, and what you end up paying at the pump. So, again, this is, more of that chaos that we've seen and continues to ensue because of the lack of intelligence, the lack of any goals, plans, or off ramps, put up there by the United States regime. But it's ridiculous to see that not only does the rhetoric seem to be lining up with the actions. There was kind of speculated that Donald Trump would maybe come out with a different kind of pause, a new deadline, maybe lie about some sort of great negotiations that were taking place, or some sort of oil as a gift that was coming through, so that kind of alleviated the pressure. And now whatever the rigmarole was, but it remains to be seen. We'll figure it out as the day goes on. I'm sure it's kind of unfolding as we speak right now. So again, if there's any kind of breaking updates, let me know if you can in the chat. I know sometimes I don't see it, but again, if any mods that could get in touch with me directly, if anything kind of breaking happens, let me know and we'll be sure to cover it. All right, let's dive back into this.
There, in some cases, Brent crude up more than 1%. Let's get right to CNN's Jim Sciutto, who's in Tel Aviv, monitoring the situation. Jim, what are you learning about this?
Yeah, John, I just spoke to a U.S. official who confirms to CNN that the U.S. struck targets on Karg Island overnight. To be clear, this U.S. official says these targets were military targets on Karg Island, not oil facilities. To your point in the introduction, John, the U.S. has previously struck military targets on Karg Island going back to the middle of March, and that appears to be what they've done again this time. And that's an important distinction, of course, because, yes, the president has held out the possibility of striking oil facilities there, which would have an impact far beyond Karg Island, given that this is where more than 90% of Iran's oil.
And again, obviously, this brings up and begs the, oh my goodness, Colleen, you saint, you. Oh my God. Thank you so much for that, Colleen. Thank you, guys. Your voice in this community gives me comfort in this incomprehensible situation. Well, Colleen, that is beautifully said. Thank you so much. It is very much appreciated. Such a kind gesture right there. Couldn't be more appreciative of that. And obviously the community that we've built here to give people some sort of outlet, to come here and recognize that, you're not alone, that there are people that think, very much like you do, are struggling like you are, have the same problems and discrepancies and kind of gripes with what's going on today. So, Colleen, very, very nice of you. Let's get some W's in the chat for Colleen and her kind contribution there. So appreciate you, Colleen. Hope you're having a great day, dear. Thank you. But yeah, as I was saying, sorry. But this kind of is begging the question as to further action is warranted if he is in fact trying to go and get the oil that's on Karg Island. Obviously, that's going to have to entail some boots on the ground. That's going to have to entail further action well beyond just striking these military targets. So again, what is the plan? Is there anything in motion as far as, something that we could point to that would suggest that there are further actions in the works? So again, this is all things that we have to keep our eye on today, as this could unfold and change on a moment's notice. Again, the way that this is kind of rapidly changing and kind of progressing and escalating like we suspected it would do. The longer this war went on, the more people that were injured, the more planes that were struck, the more allies that were struck, the more bases that were hit. It was just going to kind of further escalate this war. It's exactly what we're seeing now as these strikes take place, whether it's Israel striking bridges and other targets, or the United States here targeting the military installations and targets on Karg Island. What's it for? What are they setting up? Is this just kind of a target they pick to kind of, show their force and show their strength? Or again, are they kind of softening up the target for further action? So again, a lot of speculation going into that, rightfully so, obviously, because that would have huge ramifications and huge kind of changes as far as the way this war is being fought. The second, obviously, boots go on the ground. The second that, this kind of huge action and mission is undertaken as far as extracting the oil off of Karg Island and somehow getting it onto, friendly ships. Not only that, but getting it onto friendly ships and then getting it through the Strait of Hormuz, which is not open to the United States, let's just say, is obviously something else that's going to have to be thought about. And I have absolutely no faith, no trust whatsoever that this administration, the military leadership now has thought about any of the ramifications, any of the, punches that Iran would throw in retaliation as far as these actions are concerned. I have absolutely no trust in them whatsoever. But let me throw this on the screen here because this is just kind of like a New York Times running update. as far as the ongoing actions. I keep trying to refresh this as much as possible, but this is something that we'll be looking at as well. So not only do we have the genocidal thoughts, the genocidal fucking rhetoric and posts coming from Donald Trump, but at the same time, we have J.D. Vance going up and kissing the ass, shaking the hands and becoming buddy-buddy with Viktor Orban, somebody who is absolutely more than willing to do the bidding of Vladimir Putin and has absolutely no qualms about saying so. There was a reported, I think it was an October phone call where Viktor Orban pretty much laid himself at the feet of Vladimir Putin and said he would pretty much do anything. He's at his fucking beck and call. And now we got J.D. Vance. I don't know if this is just kind of getting him out of the limelight, getting him out of the way while, the real adults do the talking in the room. But again, he's over there meeting with Viktor Orban as all this is going on. But the stories continue because this is where the Israeli military said Tuesday that it struck 8 bridges across Iran. The military did not name the bridges, but according to a graphic attached to the announcement, they appeared to be concentrated in northwest Iran. We've also seen reporting and video coming out of civilians kind of linking arm in arm, surrounding different oil facilities, surrounding different bridges. As that is concerned, I think there'll be a reporting on that in just a second here. But this is not a good situation. Okay, this is not good by any stretch of the imagination. This is a dark moment as far as this war is concerned. As far as history in the United States is concerned. Because again, this is only going to a spot where it's going to escalate. But this is talking about how the Israeli military warned Iranians against railway travel nationwide until Tuesday evening, again, further suggesting that there'll be continuing strikes. In the latest statement, the military said bridges it struck were in Tehran, Karaj, Tabriz, Keshan, and Iranian state media reported 3 people killed in a strike on a railway bridge in Kashan earlier Tuesday. Again, this is from 4 hours ago. We're kind of working our way up to current time. This is the UN Security Council is scheduled to vote at 11 a.m. Tuesday on Bahrain's resolution on the Strait of Hormuz. The resolution has been watered down from its initial language, demanding authorization for military force against Iran to open the strait. According to diplomats, it now strongly encourages countries to, with vital interest in the strait, to coordinate efforts around defense to keep the vital waterway open. Iran has stopped negotiation efforts with the United States, informing Pakistan that it would no longer engage in ceasefire talks, according to 3 senior Iranian officials. Just kind of further showing the breakdown in not only relations, but communications as far as this is concerned. So again, like we reported the other day on the show, seems like, both of these sides are now kind of looking to go at this a totally different way. If in fact they even were engaged in these kind of talks or negotiations in the first place, it still remains to be seen to what extent they were actually taking place. But it goes on here because this talks about how people are forming human chains along bridges and around power plants across Iran in response to President Trump's threat to destroy infrastructure. Videos and photographs posted by state and other local media showed many of the demonstrators waved the flag of the Islamic Republic of Iran and held posters of the Ayatollah Khamenei, the supreme leader who was killed in the opening salvos of the U.S.-Israeli war. In the western city of Kermanshah, excuse me if I'm mispronouncing that, photographs from the semi-official Mer news agency showed protesters in front of a power plant carrying a banner that read, quote, "Attacks to electricity infrastructure is considered a war crime," end quote. In the north, protesters in front of the Semnen power plant chanted, quote, "Death to America, death to Israel," according to a video posted by the reformist newspaper Sharq. Iran's government has organized rallies in its support throughout the war. It is unclear whether today's demonstrations were spontaneous or planned. We go on. Representative Hakeem Jeffries and Democrat of New York and the minority leader said in an interview Tuesday morning that the House Democrats will force another vote on a resolution to rein in the use of military force in Iran. And I think there was another article. We'll see if I think it was this one right here that I was looking at too, where Democratic lawmakers ramp up the 25th Amendment push after Trump's "a civilization will die tonight" threat to Iran. So we'll see if we can jump into that in a couple minutes as well. But we continue here because overnight strikes in Tehran destroyed a synagogue. Iranian state media said on Tuesday the Rafi Nia synagogue held valuable Torah scrolls that are now buried beneath rubble. Home Ayun Samaya Naja Fabadi, the Jewish community's representative in the Iranian parliament, told the state broadcaster Press TV the synagogue's centuries-old Torahs were likely to have been severely damaged, according to the semi-official news agency ISNA. So again, not only attacking civilian infrastructure, but again, going after religious sites, going after things that are clearly not justifiable military targets, which is again leading to to reports like this, where Britain has now again reinforced that the United States cannot use, I repeat, cannot use its bases for attacks. Again, just kind of showing the disgust the rest of the world has in our actions. Long-standing, not only economic trade partners, but long-standing, allies and partners in military conflicts as well. Now actively coming out once again and saying we want no part in this. We don't want you to fucking launch anything from our bases. We don't want you flying over our airspace. Leave us the fuck out of this. You and Benjamin Netanyahu started this bullshit. We're going to see if we can, have some diplomatic negotiations and go through this kind of a different route. So it says here, in the face of threats by President Trump to bomb Iran back to the Stone Ages, the British government said on Tuesday that Prime Minister Keir Starmer remained opposed to Americans' use of the British bases for anything other than defensive purposes. During a media briefing with journalists, the Prime Minister's spokesman declined to say whether British officials had explicitly told the United States not to launch attacks from their territory on civilian targets in Iran, like bridges or energy facilities attacks Mr. Trump had threatened. So again, just the reporting of the chaos and the breakdowns in long-standing, long-term allies, kind of social norms and, geopolitical norms that we've had for quite some time continues. This says the U.S. Embassy in Bahrain issued a travel advisory cautioning all U.S. government personnel to shelter in place and urged its citizens in the country to do the same until further notice. There has been an uptick of Iranian attacks in the Gulf ahead of President Trump's Tuesday evening deadline for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Now, again, reading that, the U.S. Embassy in Bahrain had to issue a travel advisory cautioning all U.S. government personnel to shelter in place and urged its citizens of the country to do the same because of the uptick in Iranian attacks in the Gulf. Now, does that sound like a military that has been completely defeated? Does that sound like a war that has been won completely and totally by the United States? Does that sound like a military that doesn't have missiles, drones, or, again, the capability to shoot down aircraft like we've seen? Right? They're not using fucking spitballs and stones to take down an F-15. I can tell you that much, right? They're not shooting spitballs and stones at an A-10 fucking Warthog and damage it to the point they were able to damage that. It's just not fucking taking place. So again, the own U.S. government's statements and actions directly fly in the face of Donald Trump's statements himself and his promises that he's made to everybody as far as the eradication of the Iranian military capabilities. It's ridiculous to see that his own government, different agencies in his own government, have to issue warnings because of the uptick in the retaliation by Iran. At the same time, Donald Trump says they have no more capabilities. This thing is totally won. They have no bombs, bullets. They got no more drones. They have no more missiles. They have absolutely nothing. They don't have air defense capabilities. Meanwhile, again, he's at the podium speaking about a rescue mission, a search and rescue mission because of multiple aircraft that were shot down. So, again, makes absolutely no sense. The whole thing's fucking insane. But, that's unfortunately what we have to continue to report here. Let's see here. Oil markets. This is on the oil markets. Oil markets are behaving in an unusual way 8 hours before the deadline that President Trump set for Iran to make a deal to reopen the strait. The U.S. benchmark price West Texas Intermediate is up 3%, trading at around 116. But the international benchmark Brent crude has hardly budged, trading around 110. The difference boils down to oil markets arcana. U.S. prices reflect the cost of oil to be secured in May, whereas international prices reflect the cost of oil delivered in June. In short, the sooner you need the oil, the more expensive it is. And again, let me see if I can just update. Oh, this was a good story as well. American journalist kidnapped in Iraq is freed as well. That's 6 takeaways. We don't have to dive into that as much. A spokesman for the Iran's foreign ministry signaled defiance to President Trump's threat to wipe out, quote, whole civilization. The spokesman said on social media that the power of a civilized nation's culture, logic, and faith in its righteous cause will undoubtedly prevail over the logic of brute force. Hours before Trump's deadline for a deal, They said that Iran would, quote, harness all its capacities and capabilities, again, showing clear defiance. Basically flying in the face of everything that Donald Trump said. Basically, they were going to capitulate. None of this was going to be an issue. And here we are going into, is this now the 7th week? What is it, Chet? Well, how many days is this now? I've lost count at this point. This is mourners gathering Tuesday in Lebanon for a funeral of a married couple who were killed in an Israeli airstrike, an attack that outraged much of the country because the pair had no apparent connection to Hezbollah, the militant group at war with Israel, continuing to see the harm done to civilians all around the region because of this. Let's see here. This is the strikes on Karg Island. United States and Israel strike Iran as Trump's threats escalate. Thus, talking about the bridges that was struck. It says here the United States launched a series of more than 90 strikes on Karg Island, Iran's oil export hub, as we talked about. Again, they hit that earlier, as was reported too. So let me see if there's anything. I'm going to just kind of refresh this real quick, see if there's anything that we missed or anything that's been reported since we started here. And this was 5 minutes ago. Iran's ambassador to the UN said that a Security Council meeting on Tuesday that Iran, quote, categorically rejects a temporary ceasefire and that any agreement must ensure what he described as a permanent end to aggression with credible, verifiable guarantees to prevent it from happening again. The ambassador made several remarks after Russia and China vetoed a Security Council resolution related to the Strait of Hormuz. This was 9 minutes ago. The IDF's Farsi X channel said that the military targeted a senior commander in Iran's Khatam al-Anbaya military headquarters on Tuesday evening. It did not name the official and said the results of the strike are still being assessed. Again, showing the ongoing missions and strikes taking place by Israel alongside of the United States. And this was 11 minutes ago. Democratic lawmakers on the House Foreign Affairs Committee denounced President Trump's threat to carry out war crimes in Iran by destroying the country's civilian infrastructure and wiping out its, quote, whole civilization, as he put it on social media. Threatening to destroy Iran's power plants and bridges is not a strategy. It is a war crime, Gregory Meeks of New York, top Democrat on the committee, said in a statement, quote, at this critical moment, the United States must pursue immediate de-escalation and a coordinated diplomatic strategy with our allies. So, again, just some of the updates and reporting coming from what's taken place, the response to it. Again, it's been pretty friggin' crazy, and I just kind of want to go through some of the different ways that it's been reported, right? We try to call out a lot of the, the bullshit, the lies, the propaganda, the way that the right wing covers this, the way that they cover up, the way that they obfuscate, the way that they do the both sides bullshit and the what about bullshit, right? So again, just the few ways, and even some of these I don't even think are right wing affiliated. It's just kind of some. What's to say? YouTube is currently experiencing some issues with their APIs that might prevent some users going live on the destination. Our team is monitoring the platform for further updates. Am I still live on YouTube? Can I get a couple thumbs up from people on YouTube just so I know that I'm still live? I just got some sort of flash update. My apologies on that one. No sense going on with the show if I'm not. Tiff says live. All right. Thank you, Tiff. Sorry about that. Some random message that I got. But all right. So just to kind of go through quickly the different ways that people are talking about this or bringing this up. I mean, you guys saw it, the post, the post that we've been talking about and referencing as far as Donald Trump talking about ending an entire civilization. But your first thought about it was probably, wow, that's the most insane thing that I've ever heard. That's the craziest thing that a fucking U.S. president has probably ever said. The people that should be calling this out the most are the people on these media sites, on these fucking news networks, making it known that it is not normal, that this is not a regular way to go about business, that this is genocidal, it is illegal, and the guy should be arrested, locked up, impeached, at a moment's notice yesterday for saying shit like this. But people don't, there's a lot of these kind of what they would call, just straight down the road, straight shooting news agencies, as they call them, that aren't doing this, that are just kind of repeating the tweet, repeating the Truth Social post, and not talking about how crazy, insane, what lunacy had to be involved as far as somebody putting this on social media as the president of the United States, calling for the eradication of an entire people. Like, how is this different than in 1939, right? Where Hitler called for the annihilation of the entire Jewish race in Europe, right? I mean, change around a few words And whether or not that's actually going to come from this, the fact that he said it is crazy enough and should fucking, let the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. And action should be taken from every politician inside this government fucking immediately. This guy should be perp walked right out of the government in handcuffs for fucking saying, for even thinking about enacting anything like what he put on True Social. But again, here's just a few different people and how they covered it. This is Fox News. I think this is Maria Bartiromo or one of the other drunk ladies that's on Fox News talking about this. But listen to the way that they just kind of recite the bullshit and don't talk about or even give an opinion, again, on Fox News, Fox Business even, where they're not, that they don't hold back on their opinions nowadays. Nothing on this one, though. Nothing to say about this one. Let me just recite it as if it's just a normal post by the President of the United States, a normal fucking, a normal action that will be undertaken by the President of the United States. But just listen to the different way that it's covered here. Check this out.
Welcome back. Breaking news right now. President Trump posted on Truth Social moments ago saying, quote, "A whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. However, now that we have complete and total regime change, where different, smarter, and less radicalized minds prevail, maybe something revolutionary wonderfully can happen. Who knows? We will find out tonight, one of the most important moments in the long and complex history of the world. 47 years of extortion, corruption, and death will finally end. God bless the great people of Iran," writes President Trump.
Now, again, if that was Joe Biden, if that was Barack Obama, if that was Kamala Harris, if that was Bill Clinton, go back as far as you want to go to, do you think that, there'd be some kind of opinions coming after this? You think she'd have kind of something to say about this sort of statement if it was a Democrat saying this? You say if it was even Chuck Schumer or Hakeem Jeffries or AOC or Ilhan Omar, right? What if it was one of them saying it even? It doesn't even have to be the President of the United States. Do you think she'd have something to say about this? There might be a little segment going on after this where she might give her fucking, her opinion. She might have some rhetoric to go with this alongside this. Let's see what she does here when Trump says it.
Well, there's this. North Carolina Congressman Pat Harrigan earlier with me on this program telling me that the House leadership has decided that the House will not return early from the recess.
Nope, right into the recess news of the House, right? Nothing to say about it, not even a second statement about it, right? Not even like, whoa, not even like, wow, this is bad. No, this is intense. Nothing. Not even a fucking secondary statement. Listen to this.
Will finally end. God bless the great people of Iran, writes President Trump. Meanwhile, there's this. North Carolina Congressman Pat Harrigan earlier with me on this program telling me that
am I losing it? Am I the fucking crazy one here? Like, am I losing my shit where it's like people on the fucking news, I don't care what channel you're on, should not be able to read that out loud and then be like, okay, let's move on to the fucking news of the House and the recess. And again, not saying that the news of whatever's going on in the House isn't important, but again, to not, to tell your viewers and to not make sure that the viewers know how insane a statement like that is clearly a genocidal fucking war crime, plain and simple. Right. And whether or not he's going to go through and enact, what the rhetoric states he's going to enact is irrelevant. It's absolutely irrelevant to the point where the President of the United States took it upon himself to write in a fucking Truth Social post. Hold on. Let's get it right. Let's make sure we get it right. Let's get the first one here, where he says that he's going to a whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. So to start the statement by saying that you're going to eradicate an entire civilization by basically bombing them back into the Stone Ages, as he said previously, and then to finish that same statement with God bless the people of Iran is again just a clear indication, a very clear example of how deluded and demented this guy's mind is right now, right? I'm going to bomb you back into the Stone Ages, but also God bless you at the same time. He did away with the, praise be to Allah. I guess he got some pushback he didn't quite like as far as that was concerned, so he ditched that one. But now it's God bless the people of Iran, even though we're going to bomb the entire civilization into the Stone Ages. We're going to take out your bridges. We're going to take out your desalinization plants. We're going to take out your oil infrastructure. We're going to take out everything so that you can't live a fucking proper life, whatever you called the proper life before this fucking shit started. That's a distant memory at this point, right? And fucking, for Maria Bartiromo and people on Fox Business to not have a secondary comment on this when damn fucking well if that was Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Barack Obama, go down the list of anybody, they'd be spending the entire fucking morning, right? The entire fucking morning, if not the entire day, if not the entire week, on every single show that they have on Fox News, ripping this shit apart, calling for impeachment, calling for the 25th, calling for arrest, right? I mean, you remember Barack Obama's tan suit fucking, ordeal. I mean, what do you think they'd say about this if Barack came out and said this, right? God damn it. Holy shit. And it goes on because, it's even these, and I'll put this on the screen here because I was kind of flustered at the way, even other news agencies were covering it. So here's ABC7, kind of a local channel, Good Morning America, and Fox 9 Minneapolis, St. Paul, right? And listen to, kind of how they talk about this. Let's do it. We'll go one at a time
President
here.
Trump.
And I won't make it full screen. We'll just go kind of really quick through these videos, but, kind of listen to how they're talking about
President
this.
Trump is
And
planning
if they give any secondary comment, if they talk about how insane this is, or again, if they just recite it and repeat it and kind of move along like it's nothing to see here type of thing. Listen to this shit.
President Trump is planning a 4-hour attack tonight.
And the clock is ticking after Iran rejected a ceasefire deal. Eyewitness News reporter David Gonzalez live here in studio with the latest details on this deadline. David.
Rachel and John, that deadline is 5 p.m. tonight. President Trump vows to destroy all of Iran's bridges and power plants during this attack if the Strait of Hormuz, which sees 20% of the world's global supply pass through it, is not reopened.
Yeah, and why are you reporting this like it's fucking normal? Okay.
Then.
Why are you reporting this like it's not insane for him to undertake this? Like it's not a clear war crime. And I'm taken aback by the way that these people have been kind of, I don't know, normalized to this or instructed not to push back. I mean, are they that upset? Are they that afraid at lawsuits coming from this fucking regime? Like we saw with 60 Minutes, like we saw with the takeover of different agencies. Like is that what they're afraid of? I don't understand. And I do believe if it's in this one, it's this next one here where they reference the tweet directly. Oh no, does it? Come on. No, it's switched up. My apologies. I knew that was going to happen. It kind of refreshed the situation. Well, let's see here if I can find it real quick. If not, you kind of get the gist of it. Basically, what they do is they go over the statement. They go over that insane tweet, and they just kind of play it. No secondary comments on it. Don't talk about how sane it is. But my apologies. I had them lined up there, but unfortunately, my page refreshed, so I kind of lost them. But you guys understand what I'm talking about as far as the coverage on this, like the way that it's being normalized, the way that it's not being called out as probably the most insane thing a U.S. president has ever said. It's sickening to me that, again, the media has failed to the degree that it has failed and continues to fail in holding people accountable at calling this shit out, right? Abby Phillips and her show, they're more worried about keeping fucking Scott Jennings in business and lining his pockets with money rather than, again, making sure that people have the facts and the news and we come to some sort of, conclusion and understanding about what's going on. Similar to the way that Piers Morgan does it with his fucking WWE style bullshit, just getting as many people that disagree on to scream and yell at each other so it can get the most clicks. Meanwhile, nothing beneficial ever fucking comes from it. So I just, that this is the way and part of the reason and a big part of the reason as to why we're in this situation, the fact that this shit's been normalized, the fact that, we're not spending ample amount of time telling people and letting people know how fucking insane this is, how not normal this is, and how this lines up again. If you just change a few words with 1939 Hitler calling for the, again, total annihilation of the Jewish race in Europe, it's just the one-to-one connections here are again too numerous to discount. They're too numerous to ignore at this fucking point. As people like to call it hyperbole, and you're being hyperbolic. Well, look at what's undertaken. Look at how many people have already been killed. Look at the sacrifices made by our military and our service members. Look at the amount of money we've already spent. Look at the fucking the propaganda losses that we've already seen as far as planes being shot down. Look at the lies that we've been told, right? People don't even believe the rescue mission was a real fucking thing, right? Speculation all going around as to whether or not there was some secondary actions that were being covered up by this fake kind of search and rescue mission, right? So that's kind of the degree. That's the situation we're in right now, where people don't believe a goddamn thing, not a single fucking word coming from CENTCOM, coming from the military, coming from this government, coming from the government-controlled media, Fox News, or anything like that. We don't believe it. Basically, we believe the opposite. If they tell us something, we'll believe, and that's the exact thing that didn't fucking happen, right? So there must be some other plan or ploy going on behind the scenes. If that's what they're telling us, then we got to look somewhere else for the answers, because clearly that's not actually what's fucking taking place. And it's a sad position to be in. It really is. But, per the statement that Donald Trump was making, it has warranted, and it has kind of, sparked up some backlash from some people you would kind of recognize that have been pushing back a little bit, and then some others that may be a little bit surprising. Let's just run through a few of them here. We've gone through a little bit of the dissension that we've seen from Marjorie Taylor Greene, kind of moving away from the MAGA ranks. Some would say being booted out altogether. But she's posting here. She had one the other day as well about Trump's kind of profanity-laced post that he had, talking about open the fucking straight, they're crazy bastards, yada, 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 where she basically said he had lost his mind. I'm paraphrasing. She wrote a big, long paragraph basically in response to Donald Trump's comment. Well, she's back at it again. And not only coming, heavily as far as being against his rhetoric, but now actively calling for the 25th Amendment for Donald Trump. You heard that right. Marjorie Taylor Greene, fucking Mrs. MAGA herself, Mrs. Jewish Space Laser, Mrs. You can't fucking put your hand on the Quran. We can't have Muslims in government. All of this bullshit that we know, January 6th supporter, the whole 9 yards, is now actively calling for the 25th Amendment. I mean, this is the same lady that had the picture with her hand on Donald Trump's crotch that was just a cardboard cutout. Like, this is how sycophantic and deeply invested into MAGA she was and still continues to be. I will advise people to remember. Like, this is the lady that will have absolutely no problems voting against gay rights, voting against abortion, voting against, fucking helping homeless people. This is a lady that will have no problems voting 100% of the time with fucking Republicans. So this is, again, not to say or suggest there's been some like huge shift in Marjorie Taylor Greene that, needs to be kind of, coddled or recognized or kind of approached as being like some sort of ally. Couldn't be farther from the truth. What we're using is the people that used to have sway in the MAGA cult and their words, their rhetoric, their language, and their dissension from whatever Donald Trump is doing against them, right? Because if, in fact, there are possibly some maggots watching in the background, some Republican-leaning supporters of Donald Trump, or maybe not Trump himself, but the Republicans, kind of generally watching on whatever platform, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, Substack, Instagram, Twitch, anywhere that you're watching, they're more likely to recognize and to kind of take the warning of Marjorie Taylor Greene or Alex Jones or, Piers Morgan or Sean Ryan than they would me. Right. So that's kind of why we try to use it to our political benefit. It's politically advantageous to be like, okay, these are the people that you once applauded. These are the people that you once fucking stood up for, stood next to, voted for. Now talking about how Donald Trump needs to be, impeached. He needs to be removed, arrested, whatever they're calling for. How do you square that, right? It's going to be kind of more beneficial. It's going to have more sway coming from, I believe, a tweet from Marjorie Taylor Greene than it would from, 10 minutes of me trying to get through to MAGA, right? I'm just a dumb lib to anybody that's listening, right? Even though I'm not a fucking self-proclaimed liberal by any stretch of the imagination. But again, they don't know the difference. We can go into that, but we're not going to waste any more time. But she says here, yep, 25th Amendment, not a single bomb has dropped on America. We cannot kill an entire civilization. This is evil and madness. And again, like a broken clock, she happens to struck the right time on this tweet. Again, going back to, I think, calling for Donald Trump to recognize and acknowledge his cognitive decline, as she was posting the other day. So Marjorie Taylor Greene speaking up at least a little bit about this, which leads me to this video here. We talked about the other day where Alex Jones was bringing up Donald Trump's health. He was bringing up his cankles, talking about the cognitive decline, almost the same way that Marjorie Taylor Greene was. And again, these are people that will still talk about how much they love, supporting Donald Trump, how he's very consequential. He did great fucking things. So these people deserve no pats on the back, no respect, no empathy, no compassion whatsoever. But again, more people on the MAGA side, more people on the right, if they're, kind of looking for answers to this, are more likely to, if they do take the word or listen to or watch Alex Jones, listen to him, than they are to take any advice or anything that I'm going to say. So this is just a really quick clip, about 1 minute and 20 seconds here, of Alex Jones asking how to 25th Amendment Trump's ass. So again, Marjorie Taylor Greene, 25th Amendment. Alex Jones calling for the 25th Amendment on Donald Trump. These are the times that we're in, ladies and gentlemen. You put up fucking genocidal rhetoric like that, and sometimes even Alex Jones and Marjorie Taylor Greene are going to call you out, apparently. But listen to this. This is, again, really quick, about a minute and 20 seconds. I'm not sure who the guest is, who he's talking to here, but again, this is Alex Jones asking basically the process on how to, remove Donald Trump per the 25th Amendment. Here we go.
Compared to existential threat. How do we 25th Amendment is asked?
The problem is to get the 25th Amendment is harder than impeachment. You have to get 2/3 of the House and 2/3 of the Senate.
So what do we do?
Tackle Trump and pretend, let him pretend he's president and publicly report that he's going through a health issue and Vance take over. It literally needs to be something like that. It's that bad.
I've known you a long time. You've never called for a internal coup before.
Ever. But that's how dangerous this is. That's how risky it is for the whole world.
Yeah, if I was the Democrats, I'd stop.
Literally talking about it and labeling it as an internal coup. I mean, the guy literally says you have to fucking pretty much at this point go and tackle Donald Trump, hold him down, put him in handcuffs, and then go from there. I mean, clearly, again, I don't know who this guy is, but clearly a Trump supporter, clearly somebody that was on the Trump bandwagon heavily for quite a bit, quite a long time, as it seems here by the conversation that they're having, who now is talking about not only the 25th Amendment when it comes to Donald Trump, the danger that now we're under because of Donald Trump, but also how he's talking about tackling the son of a bitch, basically. Like, we need to go out there and just literally tackle him and put him in handcuffs, and we'll go from there. Alex Jones now talking about how do we go about this, and he seems how do we do this? He's not just asking to ask the question. Like, he wants fucking answers. Like, is it the Senate? Or like, what do we do? Like, he's on it, trying to figure out what has to happen. But again, he's got other videos out there as well where he's again, kissing Donald Trump's ass, talking about how consequential he was, how awesome his time has been. But, the danger right now and what's the change that Donald Trump has been under is too much for him to bear, basically. But here he goes again.
Poking Trump and messing with him, that only makes it worse. Like, you guys need to watch out. This isn't a guy acting like he's crazy. This is real.
What's there going to be to take over in 2026 or 2028 if this hits the fan? If we get it, he's threatening an extinction level event for the people of Iran tomorrow. Does nobody think there'll be any blowback from that? If he follows through on that, the whole world is screwed.
You were saying during the break, there's other ways to do this. People need to not just tell him the truth, like Susie Walsh said. It's time to just not. I mean, say what you just said.
Yeah, well, legally and constitutionally, the vice president is an independent elected official. The same as legally and constitutionally, the only oath any member of the military takes, any member of the State Department takes, any member of the intelligence community takes.
So he's basically calling for JD Vance to step up and take over. What it seems like from that, or just kind of make Donald Trump a puppet of a president, kind of a lame duck president, and kind of feed him some bullshit, make it seem like he's really in charge, but. These are all things that they're having to go through and plan, and the pretzel that is their fucking brain, their warped brain now, and basically the work and the defending and the obfuscation and the bullshit and the lies, right? And the careers that some of these people lost, the relationships that they gave up, fucking not talking to friends and family anymore because of their support for Trump. Like, these people are now in this position where they're talking about tackling Donald Trump to get him into, handcuffs to make sure that we can get him into the to enact the 25th Amendment from people that were on the bandwagon in the cult heavily for quite some time. So again, showing the kind of the route, the path that the GOP is on heading into midterm elections. This is kind of another clear indication, well above and beyond the special election results that we continue to talk about as well. But it goes on because even Sean Ryan, who we've talked about quite a bit in recently, as far as him going against Donald Trump, coming up and talking about the Epstein files. Obviously, he's been speaking about the war and kind of the lies that they were told about no foreign wars, no new wars, no Middle Eastern wars, and all this bullshit. But again, somebody that was actively responsible for getting Donald Trump in this position to begin with, whether it was by, kind of speaking poorly or lying about the Democrats, Democratic politicians and their policies, or again, lauding and applauding Donald Trump for any of the bullshit that he was doing. But Sean Ryan, ex-CIA, I do believe, I forget this every time, was he ex-SEAL team? He was an ex-SEAL. My apologies if I'm getting that wrong. I do believe he had a pretty extensive military background, just to kind of generalize it. But even he now is coming out on Twitter talking about the post that Donald Trump had, saying a few weeks ago he said he was going to liberate the Iranian people from an evil regime. Now he has changed his plan to kill them all. The president of the United States in a nutshell. Again, talking about the erratic fucking rhetoric, the erratic like mental instability of Donald Trump, going from I'm going to save all of you people to I'm going to kill all of you people. And basically in this one tweet, in this one post, as we talked about, he starts off with a whole civilization will die tonight and ends it with God bless the people of Iran. I mean, that's somebody with like utter delusions. That's somebody not living in reality. That's somebody that needs to be, studied, looked at, cared for, fucking kept in a home, under surveillance. People need to be wiping their ass at that point. That's where like the territory that we're in as far as that's concerned. But yeah, Sean Ryan coming up with one. There's one here as well from Candace Owens. The 25th Amendment needs to be invoked. He is a genocidal lunatic. Our Congress and military need to intervene. We are beyond madness. Again, these are people that are sick in the head in their own right, sick in the head, almost above and beyond the MAGA movement is concerned and what the MAGA movement wanted to see enacted. And even they are now coming out and actively calling for the 25th Amendment, right? So you see all these people. Oh, thank you, Stephen, and thank you, everybody that's been gifting. I know I try to focus on the show, probably rightfully so. My apologies if I don't see the chats go by and you guys, sending in your gifts. But thank you, Steve, and everybody else that's been, gifting. Stick around to the end of the show. At the end of the show, I always make time, regardless of how late we go, to thank everybody that sends in either a Venmo, which is right up in the corner there. That's the quickest, easiest way to support the show. $1 or $2 is all I ask for. Anything above and beyond that is 100% up to you. I know everybody's in kind of uncertain financial times at this moment, so I do as much as you can. And if you can't do anything, then like, share, subscribe. All the free stuff, goes just as far as well. So thank everybody that's been doing that. And again, stick around to the end of the show so I can thank everybody, whether it be on YouTube or again the Venmo people as well. So yeah, Candace Owens calling for the 25th. There's another one in here as well. Piers Morgan talking about this on Twitter, where he said this is a brazen pre-admission of genocide against the Iranian people, which would obviously be a war crime. He says this is madness. Again, to whatever extent that is a pushback to to Trump by Piers Morgan. He had one the other day as well about Trump's other ridiculous post that he put up there, basically asking him to delete it. Which again just goes to show you that he really isn't thinking about this in kind of logical, with a logical perspective. Typically, if a president says something like that, you're calling for their removal, you're calling for their resignation, you're calling for impeachment. You're not saying, hey, just delete that so we can forget about it and move on. Like, there's a clear indication that there's mental instability as far as that person is concerned, and maybe we shouldn't have him running not only the military but the entire country at this moment in time. But that's kind of the message that Piers Morgan put on there the other day, which was, basically just delete this. This is crazy. Delete it and we can move on. Well, now here he's basically calling out the madness again of Donald Trump's post. And I think there was actually another one here. Yeah, here's Joe Kent. Joe Kent was speaking up on Twitter as well. Joe Kent, obviously the counterterrorism expert that resigned from Donald Trump's administration. He goes on to say Trump believes he is threatening Iran with destruction, but it is America that now stands in danger. He attempts to eradicate the Iranian civilization. The United States will no longer be viewed as a stabilizing force in the world. I'd say that fucking ship already sailed, my brother. I think that experiment that is the United States of America and this, stabilizing force in the world has gone by the wayside, right? I think the sail has not only, I don't think the ship has sailed already, but the fucking sail is broken on that one. But as an agent of chaos, effectively ending our status as the world's greatest superpower, this would upend our economy and shatter the global order. The process is already underway, yet we still have time to avert catastrophe if Trump finds the courage to pursue serious negotiations rather than reckless rage and destruction. And again, that is Joe Kent in response to Donald Trump's genocidal post that he had on there. But again, it does seem like it is stoking up the rhetoric and bringing up some more people calling for the 25th as far as Democratic lawmakers are concerned as well. This is by Mediaite here. Democratic lawmakers ramped up their calls for the president to be removed from office under the 25th on Tuesday after the president threatened to wipe out a whole civilization of Iran. After Trump shocked social media users across the political spectrum with his post declaring a whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again, Democratic members of Congress called for the president to be removed from office. There was one here by Rashida Tlaib where she says, after bombing a school and massacring young girls, the war criminal in the White House is threatening genocide. It is time to invoke the 25th Amendment. This maniac should be removed from office. There's one in here from Ilhan Omar as well. Sickeningly evil. Donald Trump must be impeached. When will it be enough for my Republican colleagues to grow spines and remove him from office? There's another one here from Summer Lee. This is sick and twisted from anyone, much less the president of the United States. Trump's genocidal language and indiscriminate warfare cannot be normalized or accepted. He should be removed from office. Rep. Mark Pocan had one here. 25th Amendment right now. Trump is too unhinged, dangerous, and deranged to have nuclear codes. This is from Congresswoman Nakima Williams. Donald Trump is unfit to serve as the leader of the free world. That's why I have co-sponsored House Resolution 939, articles of impeachment to remove him from office. And there are several more that go on. But, at least, at the very least, I should say, people calling actively for the removal, as they should and should have been doing for quite some time, loudly and aggressively, for Donald Trump, again, to be removed from office because of his genocidal rhetoric and, again, what he's gotten us engaged in. Again, the secondary impacts that are only going to grow the more that we continue to engage in these bombings, the more that we continue to engage in the escalations that we continue to see here. But, again, we go on here because even this guy had another video that I wanted to show you, and this is just kind of a quick version. He goes on here for 7 minutes and 23 seconds. Not going to subject you to that. Just kind of like the first 35 seconds that we needed to dive into. But this is where I wanted to show you where even people that are calling him out still have to go on and like kiss his ass. They still have to be like, oh, he was great, consequential, we loved everything, but they have to add that kind of the but in there. But let's listen to the first kind of like 30 seconds of this one where he says President Trump has openly announced a plan to conduct the exact definition of genocide against the Iranian people. This madness must stop now. And again, this is from Alex Jones, people. Alex Jones.
A whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. That is the definition of genocide. Not a war, not a defensive war, but a literal bombardment, like Martians, attack us and we don't have a defense. And I want to be clear. I am proud I backed Trump the last 10 years.
See, has to add that caveat in. Has to add that in. He doesn't want to lose his supporters totally, right? He wants to make sure he's tiptoeing that line so he can still soak in those fucking MAGA dollars that are definitely still coming in to buy his whatever pills that he's selling at this point, right? So he's got to add in, oh, I love Trump. I'm so glad I voted for him. But a year into his presidency, we're now talking about World War III. We're now talking about the possibility of nuclear war or the eradication of the civilian infrastructure in Iran. But somehow you're still proud of your vote. You're still proud of that. Do you see how he has to add the caveat while talking about also the definitional use of the word genocide and how it could be posed, it should be posed and is posed right to what Donald Trump said in his rhetoric? We don't have to go into any more of that, but you can see how they're more than willing and capable of still being like these delusional fucking assholes that are more than willing to continue to vote against their self-interests. At the same time, they recognize that they voted against their self-interests. Again, it's something that's going to have to be studied for quite some time to come, but I just figured I'd play that. And again, along those lines too, is Tim Dillon. Tim Dillon, kind of a MAGA comedian, MAGA podcaster who has kind of been on a tear lately as far as, kind of calling out Trump, calling out the administration for their bullshit. Again, somebody that kind of ends up at the same place because of two totally different paths, similar to like the Tucker Carlson aspect, right? How he comes to his conclusions about Israel is from a much different place than kind of you or I would come to our conclusions about Israel, and the hate that he has for specific people probably also plays a huge part in that. But this is from Tim Dillon, where he says Trump's second term is without a doubt the biggest con in political history. The biggest con in political history, which is exactly what I have been saying for the last fucking 10, 11 years at this point. That you guys are being conned. right? You guys have now been involved in, you have been propagandized by the biggest fraud that you could possibly imagine, right? To make it seem like Donald Trump is in somehow, some way, a legitimate fucking candidate for the presidency of the United States of America, and that this wasn't going to be the result no matter fucking what when we put this guy into office, especially 2 fucking times, then you're all deluded, you're delusional, you need to be fucking checked, okay? Because again, we all saw this coming. Everybody in the chat saw this coming. We all told you that he was a fraudster, a con man, right? They didn't call him Don the Con in New York City well before any fucking political aspirations came into play, right? There's a reason why he had all the lawsuits. There's a reason why there's all the stories about him being racist and his father being racist, right? And not allowing, black people to stay at his fucking properties and calling for the death penalty on the Central Park fire. Like, the stories are too numerous to go on to as far as this is concerned. But what happened? What did you think was going to happen when you fucking voted for Jeffrey Epstein's best friend? Huh? What did you think was going to happen to a guy that was well known for being on Jeffrey Epstein's flight logs, right? For well known for living, a fucking pitching wedge away from Jeffrey Epstein at all fucking times. Right? What did you think was going to happen for a guy that was known for having the underage girls that were working at the spa in Mar-a-Lago poached by Jeffrey Epstein to work for his or work at his, fucking illegal, ridiculous, disgusting shindigs that he was throwing? Like, what did you think was going to come from this? You thought good things were going to happen from this? No, we were telling you this is the possibility, and that's exactly what we fucking happened. As much as even the people on the left didn't think, or probably to some extent didn't believe that we would get to this position, at least this quickly, that's where we are. So we inevitably led you down the path of exactly, we gave you all the information to let you know exactly where we were going to end up. And you decided to fucking throw all of that away, sweep it under the rug, and you voted for him anyway 3 times. But again, here's Tim Dillon finally recognizing that the con of MAGA, the con of Donald Trump, is now the biggest in political history. He says it would be like Jeremy Corbyn privatizing the NHS or Nigel Farage having Britain re-enter the EU. And if Yvonne is in the chat, she'll probably understand that one. All right, let's see if we can dive into this. Again, just a minute or two. He goes on for about 5 minutes. Not going to dive into the whole thing. Let's see what he says here.
This is the greatest con in history. To run as an America first, and you're going to take care of America, and then turn around and go, all of these things, daycare, Medicare, Medicaid, we have nothing to do with that. We're fighting wars. That's what we're here to do. We're here to have a defense budget of $1.5 trillion, and we're here to fight wars. It is the greatest scam in history. You got to hand it to him. And I mean, truly, and not in, again, not in a moral way, but like, you got to hand it to him. This is the greatest about face in political history that I have really ever seen. It is the greatest scam. It has taken in people. I believe J.D. Vance, when he came on my show and said, we want to stay out of Middle Eastern wars, Donald Trump's first term did not have he killed Qasem Soleimani. I'm mispronouncing that, whatever. But he was not running all over the world and doing this. There's a lot of things about Trump's first term to criticize, but he was not doing this. So this is surprising to a lot of people. And by the way, it's surprising to me. And there's a lot of people, and I know
because you guys are idiots and you didn't listen to anything that the other side was telling you about, warning you about. That's the whole fucking point of this. We were shouting it from the fucking rooftops for years now at exactly what was going to happen, how you were being lied to, how this was a big fucking con. He didn't give a shit about the fucking American people. He didn't give a shit about the people down south. He doesn't give a shit about the people that he's been fucking robbing blind and stealing money out of their fucking pockets since he started getting into politics, and probably well fucking before that. He doesn't give a flying fuck about the people of Iran. He doesn't give a flying fuck about the military. He doesn't give a flying fuck about anything but his own fucking bank account and anything that has to do with him. That's it. Right? And that's why we're in this fucking position now, because he's covering up the Epstein files, because he's worried about his fucking legacy as far as that's concerned. And he wants to be this great fucking wartime leader and known for this great conquering of Iran. So that will cover up, or that will supersede kind of his involvement in the Epstein files. Like, what did you fucking think was going to happen? It's unbelievable. These people now are like, well, this is surprising. Oh, just, who could have seen this coming? I mean, you vote for Jeffrey Epstein's best friend. You vote for a guy that's known for stealing and being a fucking con man and a fraudster and bankrupting about as many companies as ever been bankrupted in the history of business, right? Right? What do you think's going to happen? Good things? No. And again, that leads to situations like this, right? As was reported by the New York Times. This is video coming in from the human chains that are forming in front of power plants, that are forming on bridges in Iran now, trying to protect, their assets, trying to, make it so that the United States and Israel won't, strike these facilities that they need to obviously conduct daily life. So again, this is obviously disregard the way that it's being reported here as far as the scumbag reporting it. But again, it's the video here, footage coming out of it. That's the important thing. Let me see if I can make this a little bigger on your screen. And again, there's multiple instances, multiple videos coming out just like this, which is again showing clear defiance. Clearly against whatever actions are probable and possibly to come from the United States and Israel as far as attacking in civilian infrastructure, setting them back generations, turning them back into the Stone Ages, as Donald Trump has put it. But again, this is 20 seconds just kind of showing you this update. So again, just to show you the reporting there in the video coming from that, it's just it's a shitty, terrible, just awful fucking situation that we're now engaged in. Donald Trump has completely backed the United States and the U.S. military into a corner. We're either going to engage in war crimes or we're going to come out of this looking weak, ineffective, incapable. It's just there's no middle ground anymore. There's no off ramp that Donald Trump can take where he kind of gets both, where we could call for a victory, talk about how we achieve victory while also kind of maintaining that supremacy, maintaining that like the lore of the military, like at the same time. It just doesn't seem to me like those two things can coincide, basically like oil and water. But see if I can throw this on the screen. This is kind of further putting chaos and instability into the oil markets, as we were talking about earlier. This is video footage showing the moment that several Iranian ballistic missiles struck the Jubal industrial city tonight in northeastern Saudi Arabia, which contains several petrochemical plants threatened recently by Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard in response to Israeli attacks on major petrochemical facilities in Iran. So kind of an eye for an eye type of thing that we're seeing here. Let's see if we can dive into this quick clip. So again, that is footage coming from the strikes on the Jubail industrial city in northeastern Saudi Arabia, which again contains several petrochemical plants, which has again thrown the market. One of the reasons, in which the market has kind of again been thrown into a tizzy as far as oil prices is concerned. This is from the OSINT Defender, just seeing if there's any kind of updates that we need to take a look at. Officials tell Axios. This is some of the reporting that I was suggesting or talking about earlier on in the show, where, remember yesterday I said that, it might be likely that Donald Trump comes out and says there were some great negotiations that were had. There was some fucking big present that was sent, so it's going to extend the deadline, yada, yada, yada. This was some Axios reporting that Donald Trump may hold off on tomorrow's strikes. Of course, this was reported yesterday against civilian infrastructure in Iran and extend the deadline for negotiations, but only if he, quote, sees a deal is coming together. While a defense official said that they were skeptical that there would be any extension for this time for Iran. So again, kind of counter-reporting at the same time there. But it has been reported, I do believe, by Brett Baer in a conversation he had with Donald Trump, that Donald Trump said that the 8 p.m. show would go on, paraphrasing a little bit, of course, but did in fact seem like that this was already a go. The mind was already made up. This was a mission kind of already undertaken. The wheels had already been started, and there's no kind of stopping it once that takes place. kind of the message that I got as far as Brett Baers reporting on it this morning. But here's some more actions. This is reports of strikes in the last few hours against Iran's Karg Island in the northern Persian Gulf. So just some footage coming in here from smoke rising from some of these strikes that we were talking about on Karg Island. This is again 7 hours ago, as we talked about overnight. U.S. military conducted strikes on military targets on Karg Island, as we said. This is according to the Ministry of Defense of the UAE. Iran has fired 1 ballistic missile and 11 one-way attack drones at the country in the last 24 hours, bringing the totals to 26 cruise missiles and 520 ballistic missiles, 2,221 one-way attack drones, I believe, since the beginning of the war. U.S. military forces have attacked military targets on Karg Island, as it keeps reporting here. See if there's any more information to come from that. Let's see. There was also this that people are talking about as well, that there was an attack on an Israeli consulate in Istanbul, Turkey, where 3 gunmen approached the consulate, engaged in a firefight with authorities. In the ensuing firefight, 1 gunman was killed while the other 2 were wounded. Israel has condemned the attack and thanked Turkish security forces for their swift action. But again, just showing the continuation of the conflict in different areas and different regions, and how different players from all over the world, as we talked about on the show, utilize this chaotic moment, utilize this moment of instability on the world stage to kind of enact whatever plans they want to enact, whether it be, again, attacking Israeli consulates in Turkey or, in other areas of the world, just to kind of get the headlines, to kind of, whatever, cause terrorism in any way, shape, or form. That's what happens in these situations. People, factions, fucking military groups, military factions, proxies use the moment of instability, use the moment of chaos where people are focused on other things to again, try to step up the ladder, as it were, on the power ladder to gain and to get as much control as they possibly can at a moment like this, right? Let's see. I'll put this back on, see if there was anything else that we missed here. Since early in the morning on Tuesday, Israel and the United States have been extensively targeting railway and vehicle bridges across Iran. Bridges have been targeted in Tehran, Isfahan, and other regions of western Iran, with Israeli officials claiming that the strikes were to prevent the movement of military equipment by Iran's IRGC. Roughly 10 hours remain of President Trump's deadline to 8 p.m. given to Iran. Let's see. This is just a quick 3-second clip of it looks like to be a railway bridge that was hit. So again, clearly taken with peanut butter or Vaseline over the fucking lens on that one, but you can see that there was clearly a bridge struck there. It looks to be a railway bridge. Let's see if there's anything else that we need to talk about. Let's see here. This was senior Iranian source tells Reuters that if the United States attacks Iran's power plants, quote, the entire region will fall into darkness, threatening to attack energy infrastructure throughout the Middle East, adding that if the situation gets out of control, Iran's allies, the Houthis, will also close the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. We talked about that, about a month ago at this point, let's say, probably maybe 3 or so weeks ago, the probability, I should say, of the Bab el-Mandeb Strait coming into play. Again, how Iran was kind of using and kept these little ploys and plays that they have close to the vest. They still have some weaponry that's being suggested that they haven't used, some capabilities that they haven't fucking dove into yet, that they're kind of, picking and biding their time. There's also this where they have the Houthis and their ability to control or affect at least passage through the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, which, again, you can relay that to just added cost into your pockets, right? More money out of your pocket, added cost for fuel, added cost for clothing, added cost for shoes, added cost for, groceries, for fucking knives, for kitchenware, whatever it may be. If it gets to you by plane, train, automobile, or ship, it's going to cost fucking more. Okay, so that's another thing that we told everybody to pay attention to and look for. And again, thanks to you guys watching Blunt Politics here. You guys are well familiar with the Bab el-Mandeb. Some people are probably like, what the fuck is that now? Because they haven't watched this show. You guys are in the know because you've watched, and now you're like, no, I not only know exactly what that is, I know the ramifications that will come from it, controlling 12% of the global shipping that goes through the Bab el-Mandeb. Not only that, but I also know the Houthis are going to be in control from Yemen of that one as proxies of the Iranians. And not only that, I could point to you on a map where the fuck that is, because Boston Brian has showed us multiple goddamn times. So hit that like button, right? For the information that at least you're getting here, just so it's not a complete waste of time. I appreciate it. Let's see if there's anything else here, because I think we're kind of getting close to current time. I'll do a quick update, a quick refresh, see if we missed anything else here. There was also reporting that I saw just before I came on about the nature of interceptors and how the United States is getting drastically low, as well as the allied regions, as has been reported for quite some time on their interceptors. Let's see what this says. Iran reportedly told Pakistani mediators that their current stockpiles sit at 15,000 missiles, 45,000 drones, indicating both a willingness to continue a conflict and a capacity for extended exchange of fires between them and U.S. Israeli forces. This comes as reports of dwindling U.S., Israeli, and Gulf nation stocks of long-range precision fire interceptors abound. So again, adding up and pairing up the lies that we were told about the complete eradication of not only their missile systems, their launching systems, their drone capacity, all of that was supposed to have been eradicated. Now, not only that, but we're hearing that they got some 15,000 missiles left, some 45,000 drones. Not only that, but the capacity to continue to manufacture those drones. So again, I'm sure that stockpile is continuously fluctuating as far as what they're able to produce, but compared to what they're expending as far as that's concerned. But here, at the same time, we're hearing that. And the reports that we had the other day on the show, where it was, I believe, 50% that the United States intelligence could only confirm about 50% of the Iranian missile systems and weapon systems that were actually, out of order, taken out, destroyed, or again, not able to be used, which again leaves 50%, as we all know, because we're math geniuses, that the Iranians could still use, obviously to great effect, looking at the F-15, the A-10 Warthog that was shot down, the different helicopters and the AC-130 that was struck and left behind and blown up by the United States. So again, this is at the same time that they're running low on precision fire, long-range precision fire and interceptors, which they use to, again, take out and target these missiles and drones to make sure that they can't get through. So not a good situation to be in. Doesn't really bode well for, a prolonged war in our ability to defend not only the bases in the region, but also our allies in the region. Doesn't bode well for Israel being able to, again, stockpile its Iron Dome defense systems to make sure that it can fucking, eradicate and eliminate the possibility of the Iranian missiles and drones getting through. As we've seen, Israel has been continuously getting pounded and pounded and pounded to an extent that's not being widely reported. The effectiveness, their ability, the Iranians' ability to get through the Iron Dome systems ever since, this communication with Russia and China seemingly have picked up a few fucking tactics in order to use to get through and utilize and again ramp up their success rate as far as percentages of getting through and actually striking the targets that they set out to strike. So again, not something that you continuously want to see or hear. Let's see, that's just photos released by CENTCOM. This is the reporter that had, the journalist Shelley Kittleson that has been released. So I think that's pretty much it as far as that's concerned. We talked about earlier JD's visit to Hungary to talk to Viktor Orban. Let's see if we can get into a few of these videos, a few of these clips. We got one here from the I've Had It ladies. I think it's just Jen, if I'm not mistaken. She came out, and I want to hear her take on Donald Trump's a True Social post, his genocidal post about, eradicating an entire civilization. So I'm curious as to what she has to say. There's a clip here from Preston Stewart about what he thought about Donald Trump's post. And then there's one here from LBC asking, has Trump completely lost his mind? And then there's, what else did we have to dive into? And then there's one here from Preston talking about Ukraine as well. So what do you say we dive into these last? Oh, what do you say we do this first? Let's do this one first before we get into the videos. Because, the Iranians are at it again. They're back at it like crack addicts as far as this is concerned. They just will not let this Lego thing die. They have kind of found their stride, hit their stride. They have found out what has become popular, what people are watching, and they continue to pump these things out. It was Pete Hegseth, and then it was Donald Trump with his Jeffrey Epstein connections. Now, this is, again, already a video on the speculation that everybody has been talking about, that this whole search and rescue mission wasn't really a search and rescue mission, but really was just a big cover-up for a failed mission to, I don't know, either investigate the nuclear facilities. To me, it didn't seem like they had the necessary equipment with them to perpetrate the extraction of the uranium. But again, that's just based off whatever reporting and pictures that I've seen. Doesn't mean it wasn't out there. But here they go again. Here's the Iranians with another Lego banger, talking about the uranium heist in the dead of night. And again, they are turning these things around so fucking rapidly, talking about it as a failed operation that cost $600 million wasted as far as equipment expended. They do show in this video, I will say, do you see the tractors? You see the excavators in the background? So I don't know if they have intel or if they have information suggesting that they know that this equipment was either on the ground or supposed to be on the ground, whether in the AC-130, wherever it may have come in from. But I haven't seen anything suggesting that there was any of this heavy machinery, heavy equipment being brought in to again enact this recovery that they would need to, this very specialized equipment, obviously. But let's see if we can check this out. It's about a minute and a half. Again, uranium heist in the dead of night by the Iranians with another Lego banger. Let's see what they're coming through in this one.
Yeah. They said it was a rush, but it was a heist. Uranium heist. Uranium heist, try to steal our uranium in the dead of night. Commandos, Rangers, Black Hawks in the fight failed miserably, just like Tabas, right? They flew deep into ice, thought we wouldn't see.
See though, like they have this being depicted as like actually having excavators and trucks on the ground. I haven't seen this been reported, but again, we know the intent that they have here is obviously exaggerated a lot of the time to make their point. So again, excuse me, take it with a grain of salt as far as this is concerned, whether or not they're just going based off of the rumors and rhetoric coming from what they're seeing online, or again, they have actual intel suggesting that these actions were either meant to be undertaken or in some way, shape, or form were tried to be undertaken, is a different story. But you can see quite clearly here the nuclear, the biohazard symbol on the side of the side of the truck there, and then the soldiers clearly digging up the what they look to be as uranium there.
Special forces, excavators trying to take our enriched uranium for free. Attacked our defenses, tried to seize the ground, but we lit them up. Now the birds are down.
And we lit them up, so the birds are down. Again, suggesting that the Iranians may have been more impactful, let's just say, in the way, in the reason as to which the C-130 was blown up, and apparently suggested another helicopter was also blown up as well, was because of they were disabled by the enemy fire, as opposed to getting stuck in the sand as the military has suggested, and then blowing them up so they didn't fall into enemy hands. So again, you can see kind of the discrepancies here, and not only what the Trump regime is saying, but what is seemingly coming out from the other side. A lot of this, obviously, keep repeating, take it with a grain of salt, propaganda coming from both sides. They both have their reasons to lie, to kind of amplify or exaggerate what took place, or to utilize conspiracy theories, the stuff that they saw online. So again, this is stuff that we're sifting through Easter eggs as far as a Lego video. So take that into account as well.
Black Hawks burning in the sand, 600 million wasted on a failed master plan. They called it a rescue, but the world knows the truth. They came for our uranium. That's the real proof. We said it clear, this wasn't random at all. They wanted our nuclear material, that was the goal. Deep into our territory under constant threat, but they got exposed. Now the whole world sees their regret. Feel like Tabas, history repeating again. Superpower embarrassed, losing more than just man. You try to rob us in the middle of the war, now you're running scared. We laugh from afar, sacred defense.
So you can see there them already coming out with a response to the supposed search and rescue mission that again people have multiple questions about, kind of the inconsistencies about the injuries to the alleged colonel, while also somehow seemingly making it 300-400 miles away from the crash site, while also making it up a 7,000 kilometer mountain, traversing the mountain. There's a lot of discrepancies, a lot of things that again don't line up, and again, even if they did line up, probably wouldn't be believed because of the bullshit, the lies, the rhetoric that we've been told by this administration, by this regime in the past. So just before we dive into the videos, I wanted to make sure that we're staying up to date on the Iranian fucking Lego bangers. Okay, so hit that like button. I appreciate you guys. All right, let's get into Jen here. I wanted to get into some of the responses from some of the sane people on our side to what Donald Trump said. Again, compare that to Maria Bartiromo having absolutely no comments, no opinions whatsoever, like the ABC, the Fox, and the local news. Again, just reporting this as if it's just another day, another statement by another crazy man, nothing to worry about, nothing to see here. Meanwhile, it's literally the fucking calling for genocide. It is the printing on fucking paper, the intent to commit war crimes by the president of the United States. And they're just kind of like, la-di-da, another fucking day. All right, let's dive into this. This is Jen from the I've Had It podcast, giving her 2 cents on what she thought about Donald Trump's speech. Donald Trump's post, as far as that's concerned. So let me see what she had to say. I think she's solo here, as far as I'm concerned, or as far as I saw. Oh, sorry. What did I do? Oh no, let me throw it. There you go.
All right. The president of the United States is even crazier today than he was yesterday. He just posted this on his social media platform, Lie Social. A whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. However, now that we have complete and total regime change, where different, smarter, and less radicalized minds prevail, maybe something revolutionarily wonderful can happen. Who knows? We will find out tonight. One of the most important moments in the long and complex history of the world. 47 years of extortion, corruption, and death will finally end. God bless the people of Iran. A whole civilization will die. I mean, what are we talking about here? Are we talking about nukes? This is the president of the United States. And I don't know if you all saw our episode that dropped last night where he's talking about all sorts of crazy, unhinged things. This man is in full-blown dementia on top of his pre-existing mental illness, on top of the fact that he's going to do every single thing in his power to stay in power. He doesn't care about the military. He doesn't care about the troops. And a lot of his most ardent supporters are noticing this. And Tucker Carlson, who I don't like, who I think is a total grifter con artist, he has always criticized Trump's policies, but rarely Trump personally. Here is a video from last night before the bonkers batshit post that I just read you that came out this morning that sounds like we're on the verge of apocalyptic nuclear war. This is Tucker Carlson last night specifically calling out Trump. Play the clip.
That means, because this is obvious to anyone who's paying any attention, that if you work in the White House or in the U.S. military, now it's time to say no, absolutely not, and say it directly to the president, no. In case you're thinking about using some weapon of mass destruction against the population of Iran, in whose name we liberated Iran, we killed their religious leader for their benefit. Do you remember that? This was last month. Those people who are in direct contact with the president need to say, no, I'll resign. I'll do whatever I can do legally to stop this because this is insane. And
again, add this on to Candace Owens, Alex Jones, Joe Kent, Sean Ryan, and the rest of these people that were actively calling for the 25th Amendment, actively calling for the removal of Donald Trump. These people that were firmly, invested firmly in the fucking cult of MAGA. Tucker Carlson, fucking more than most responsible for the lies and the propaganda spread by Fox News at his time with Fox News. So again, people that are directly responsible for this moment, that directly led to this moment, now actively calling for the 25th, for the removal of the person that they actively helped get into power. Again, showing the dramatic shift in such a short period of time in Donald Trump's second fucking term here, that people have kind of recognized somewhat, to some extent, the lies, the propaganda, and the bullshit that we've been kind of calling out for the last, again, 10, 11 years as far as this is concerned. But let me see if we go back here.
Order, I'm not carrying it out. Figure out the codes on the football yourself.
Okay, so this sounds very, very familiar to the Democrats earlier this year that were telling people in the military, do not commit war crimes for this guy. He has immunity from the Supreme Court, but you do not. And
That's a good point. That's a good point. I mean, we continuously bring up the amount of insight and the amount of warnings, even if it came from as recently as, again, the warnings by the Democratic lawmakers not to follow these illegal orders. or it's been the warnings that we've been telling you guys since even before Donald Trump came down the fucking stupid golden escalator at what was going to come from this and what type of man that you guys were actually fucking, looking towards and defending and putting up on a fucking pedestal as some great savior to this nation. The guy was just a degenerate fucking loser, asshole, moron, sexual assaulter born with a golden spoon in his mouth that somehow managed to throw it all away multiple fucking times, but still come out, smelling like roses on the other side. It's uncanny the way that this guy has been able to avoid, justice, avoid accountability for his entire fucking life. It continues to frustrate everybody to no end. But let me see here, just for the sake of time. Obviously, Jen is not too happy and not too, thrilled with Donald Trump's statements, to say the least. But she's calling it out as being insane, right? She says, "What the fuck are we doing here?" Much more than Maria Bartiromo would even think to push back on something like that. Way more than the local news stations decided to push back on it, and their broadcast more or less just kind of reciting the nonsense, reciting the genocidal rhetoric like it's nothing, and then going on to the next segment. But at least, Jen, she's good for a pushback every now, on these things every time they come out as well. But here's Preston Stewart as well, with some kind of military backing, some military mind and what he thinks about Donald Trump's statement and where this is going to lead us as well. We don't have to dive into a ton of this, but, just to kind of get some insights as to what people are thinking, both, inside of the military, former military, as far as, Jen and Pumps and what people on that side are thinking, the Republicans, to try to kind of filter through the bullshit and to kind of, show you the hypocrisy and the discrepancies between the way that the right reports on it and the way that, people with an actual fucking brain inside of their head talk about this and recognize this as being genocidal, as being lunacy, as being just absolute fucking insanity coming from the president of the United States. All right, let's dive into this, a couple minutes of this, and then we'll go on, because there's another one here by LBC where they talk about how Trump has lost his mind. I don't know if he's taking calls, but I think that's Louis Goodall is his name in that one. There's also one from Sheila Fogarty, but we're not going to have time to get into that. So, all right, let's dive into this Preston Stewart video and see what he thinks. This one is titled "The Trump's Latest Threat is Completely Unhinged" is the title of this one. All right, shout out to Preston.
All right, what's going on, everyone? So already a pretty hectic start to the day, as the president of the United States has said he is prepared to kill an entire civilization in the next few hours. You heard that right. And that's not an exaggeration. That's not taken out of context. Word for word, President Trump, quote, "A whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will." And we are going to read this entire thing because it's important. I'm seeing too many folks sane wash this and kind of summarize it to mean something else that the president didn't say. There's nothing sane about what our president has said in the last 48, 72 hours. So we're going to go through it word for word because it's important to see what he's actually saying.
And again, this is might not be strong rhetoric compared to what you're used to hearing from me, but compared to what Preston is usually doing as far as his content, his demeanor, what he's calling out, what he's talking about, even this is kind of on another level. This is clearly him, being concerned, being pissed off at people trying to, like he just said, sane wash this type of rhetoric and kind of made, like people have been doing for Donald Trump since he came into politics. Well, he didn't mean this. What he really meant was this. Right? That's going to be on fucking everybody's headstone that defended Donald Trump at some point. It's going to be, he really meant to say this. They've been doing it for fucking, again, since he came down the escalator, when he continues to say this ridiculous, nonsensical bullshit. And people are like, oh, I know he said this, but what he really meant was this. Well, in this case, there is no what he really meant was this, considering what he said over the last few days, what he's continued to say since we started this fucking illegal, unconstitutional war with Benjamin Netanyahu. You cannot fucking sane wash this. You cannot whitewash it. You cannot, you cannot gloss over it. It needs to be talked about. It needs to be discussed. It needs to be called out as being insane. It needs to be called out as clearly showing that this guy has zero capabilities whatsoever to be the leader of this country. He's a danger to everybody. He's a danger to the United States. He's a danger to society. He's a danger to the fucking world. And then the quicker he is removed and arrested and put in fucking jail, the better for everybody. That's what needs to be said.
However, now that we have complete and total regime change where different, smarter, and less radicalized minds prevail, maybe something revolutionarily wonderful can happen. Who knows? We will find out tonight, one of the most important moments in the long and complex history of the world. 47 years of extortion, corruption, and death will finally end. God bless the great people of Iran. There is no justification for the president of the United States to make a statement like that. Full stop. There's none. Can't what about and justify it away with anyone else. We're better than that. That's not how we operate on the world stage. That's not how our military operates on a world stage. What I've seen people say is, well, first off, that's not what he meant. What he meant was actually, well, too bad. That's what he said. He could have said the IRGC. He could have said the Islamic regime. There's a number of different things he could have said, but he went with an entire civilization that includes the civilians. Like, let's stop playing games here. All right. If we saw this from any other leader around the world,
I would say it mainly focuses on the civilians, not only civilians, but civilian infrastructure. He quite literally labeled the days. It's going to be Bridge Day. It's going to be fucking desalinization day. It's going to be oil facility day, right? All things that the civilian population of Iran need to use, need to be able to utilize in order to have a functional fucking society, right? In which, again, Donald Trump has come out blatantly and said he wants to set them back into the Stone Ages, which is clearly going to have harm and going to fucking end up in the deaths of many of the civilians there. Whether it be because of malnutrition, lack of fucking clean drinking water, the bombs dropped in their houses, specifically, whatever may come from it is not going to be fucking good, right? That is clearly why you cannot punish a civilian population for the acts of a government, right? Like that is why that is a thing. That is why you cannot fucking clearly punish, an entire fucking country, again, for the actions of their government or the actions of their military. That's why we have the UN charters. That's why we have the Geneva Conventions, right? That's why we have international law. That's why we have the rules and regulations according to, the rules of engagement and stuff like. That's why we have all of these different societies, these different agencies and committees that have been built up, and people that have come up with these different ways of going about these specific type of actions. It's insane now to be calling this out, or to have it to talk about people not calling this out. And people trying to sane wash this, considering what Donald Trump has said in the past and what he's trying to enact here, just the absolute lunacy of it all.
Especially one from a nuclear armed country, we would criticize it and we would say that is absurd. You can't do this. It's morally, legally, ethically wrong. And we would say that looks an awful lot like a call for genocide. You know, the thing that genocide scholars and legal experts are always, it's the intent that they always have a hard time with in cases like that. This is what they would call intent.
Mm-hmm.
When the president of a country says, hey, our military operation that is set to commence in the next 12 hours will lead to the death of an entire civilization.
And again, I hope the fucking military command is out there, and I know it's a sticky situation and it's not as clear cut as saying, okay, yeah, I'm just not going to follow that order because I believe it is illegal, right? There's a lot of ramifications. There are a lot of fucking risks that you're taking as far as doing that. But again, I hope the command is out there that are instructing these pilots, that are instructing these, commandos, whoever's going to be enacting this or taking place in this fucking attack. If in fact, Donald Trump decides to hit the go button, if he hasn't already, then they better recognize what position they're putting themselves in, because they themselves are open to justice. They themselves are open to prosecution afterwards, if in fact they take this illegal order, run with it, and then it does in fact lead to the killing, the murdering of innocent civilians, the eradication of civilian infrastructure. I just hope that people recognize that there was a reason why people like Mark Kelly and the others were saying, hey, don't follow illegal orders from this president because you're putting yourself in harm's way. You're putting yourself at risk. He may scapegoat. He may fucking walk. He may, he may croak before he hits accountability or sees any justice, but you're going to be there. Right? People are going to see that you got these orders. You carried them out. You passed them along to your squadron, or you passed them along to your unit. You forced your soldiers, you ordered them to undertake these fucking missions, to undertake these orders, to carry out these orders. So again, I just hope people recognize, the ramifications, as kind of comfortable as these people now feel inside of the government because of their control, whether it be over the Pentagon with Pete Hegseth, the DOJ with Pam Bondi, the DOJ formerly with Pam Bondi, with Todd Blanche as the interim right now, the FBI with Kash Patel. We could go on, the Supreme Court, obviously the presidency, the House, the Senate. I mean, at this point in time, they kind of feel comfortable. The people in the regime, they feel like they can kind of escape accountability, escape justice, evade justice because of the people that they have in charge now. But again, I don't think that grace is going to be extended to the underlings, again, to the commanders, to the other people that are involved in this, in carrying out this mission. So again, beware of exactly why these people, and again, the people that had served in the military before that were actively telling you to watch out, not just random fucking normies out there trying to speculate. These people had served. And know kind of how it goes. And that's why they were telling you exactly what they were telling you as far as be wary, be careful, right?
All right. I know that terrorist organizations call on death to America, death to Israel, and death to any other number of groups and people around the world. That's wrong. And, personal opinion, I tend to hold the United States and our elected leaders in a bit higher regard, to higher standards than terrorist organizations around the world. If we say that the IRGC says this, or North Korea will say this, or Russia threatens nuclear weapons, cool. We're better than that. And when North Korea or the IRGC
supposed to be better than that. What's supposed to be better than that?
Especially Russia calls out nuclear threats and says they're getting ready to do that, we do, even on this channel, mock them and say that is ridiculous. That is an irresponsible use for the power that you have. How dare you? And here we are. The United States wasting no time saying that an entire civilization will die tonight. I understand.
And then again, we'll be no different than Russia, right? We'll be no different than the people that are actively targeting civilians, actively targeting hospitals, schools, apartment complexes, universities, right? And then while doing that at the same time, going to the UN Security Council meetings and kind of, putting down other countries for enacting whatever they're enacting, like when the United States went into Venezuela, and the hypocrisy of people in countries like China and Russia, right? Going out there and saying, oh, we kind of, we stand against this, and, we condemn the actions of the United States as kind of, rightfully, as right as it is for people to condemn those actions. It's fucking the hypocrisy coming from Russia or China, again, talking about hitting civilians or again, harm to civilians is ridiculous. But again, that's going to be us, because in these security councils, as we're talking about democracy and upholding and defending democracy on the world stage, people are going to be able to point to these actions, this rhetoric by the president, and say, hey, didn't you just fucking bomb Iran back into the Stone Ages? Weren't you just responsible for tens of thousands of civilian deaths, war crimes, and dead children all over the place? Like, because we're smelling a little hypocrisy coming from the United States, as it were. But let's see what else. I'll give him another couple minutes here, and then we'll dive onto this LBC broadcast, this LBC clip as well.
Criticism of President Trump and the way he phrases things is presented as TDS, right? And Trump can do no right. Let's just acknowledge that this isn't normal. The last couple days are off the rails. Do with that what you will. Now,
and again, that's I think that's a fair point to be made, and one that again goes a little bit further than Preston typically goes. He's not a MAGA supporter by anything that I've ever heard, but he just doesn't really dive into too deeply the political aspects of it. I want to say, like, he's really good at covering the war in Ukraine. Really good at covering the militaries and the different aspects of that. Typically speaks about obviously what's going on with the Trump administration, the Trump regime, and negotiations and stuff, but doesn't really, to what I've seen, and I'll, speaking for myself, I haven't seen him pick sides, but this one is a clear indication that he recognizes not only the insanity, but also the danger posed by a statement like that by the President of the United States of America. All right, let's see if we can dive into this LBC clip. I appreciate you guys for being with me. Thank you for spending some time. Thank you to all the mods wherever you may be working right now and keeping that chat a safe place. I really do appreciate each and every one of you, and I am very blessed to have some of the best mods, if not the best mods, on the internet today, and making sure that we can continue this show. And thank you to obviously the best chat on the face of the fucking planet right here at Blunt Politics. Make sure you hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 20,000 subscribers by the time we start kicking the GOP in the dick during midterm elections. So again, we want to be out there getting the most bang for our buck as far as taking down the GOP. So again, the more subscribers we have, the more play we get, the more views on the videos, the more time we'll get out there, having our opinions put out there, which hopefully will allow more people to see it. We'll maybe gain some more attention, maybe able to punch harder, a little bit above our weight class, as it were. All right, let's dive into this LBC here. Not James O'Brien, as we typically look at, but this is Louis Goodall, and he says, can we conclude that Trump is senile? And then it says on the screen here, has Trump actually lost his mind? And I just want to see what kind of clips they're playing, what people outside of the United States think about Donald Trump's rhetoric over the last couple of days. I think this is before Donald Trump's post this morning, so I don't think he references that. But again, his press conference the other day, some of the Easter nonsense that Donald Trump was talking about Joe Biden and auto pens with kids at the fucking Easter egg roll. Like, I'm curious what people outside of the United States, and again, people other than James O'Brien, who, shout out to James, we cover a lot and talk about a lot. But let's see if we can get some other reactions here and what other people thought about Donald Trump's rhetoric over the last couple of days and exactly what that means. Again, this is Louis Goodall, and even Sheila Fogarty, another one from LBC, had a couple good clips. You can see here on the side. Oh, no, you can't see it. Let me get out of the way. Just above my head here, you'll see it where it says LBC callers react to Trump's civilization threat to Iran. She also had another one up top where I believe she calls him insane or something like that. So, all right, let's dive into this one. I appreciate you guys. Again, Louis Goodall on LBC. Has Trump actually lost his mind?
Just listen to this. This is Donald Trump talking about the North Korean leader, Kim Jong-un.
You know who else didn't help us? South Korea didn't help us. You know who else didn't help us? Australia didn't help us. You know who else didn't help us? Japan. We've got 50,000 soldiers in Japan to protect them from North Korea. We have 45,000 soldiers in South Korea to protect us from Kim Jong-un, who I get along with very well, as you know. Do you notice he said very nice things about me? He used to call Joe Biden a mentally retarded person, okay? So don't tell me about your stuff. Joe Biden, he said he's a mentally retarded person. He was so nasty to Joe Biden. It was terrible. But to me, he likes Trump.
There's Donald Trump there basically saying that he prefers the company of and prefers the most horrendous, autocratic, tyrannical dictator possibly anywhere in the world, Kim Jong-un, to his fellow countrymen and predecessor and successor as president of the United States, Joe Biden. President Trump, just listen to this as well. This is President Trump, I think just yesterday, sat at a table, it might have been Easter Sunday actually, surrounded by children at a White House Easter event.
I could sign autographs. And then tonight, you can sell them for $25,000.
Can you sign mine?
If you didn't hear what he was saying, he was talking about signing autographs so the kids could sell his autographs for $25,000 on eBay.
Caroline's the only one that doesn't want my autograph. There's zero. I would say Carolina has zero interest in my autograph. Oh, that's nice. I think I can sign this. That way I say I do it. Look, I do it. Look what I did, everybody. Ready? Biden would use the auto pen. He'd have an auto pen following.
And then here he's referencing Joe Biden and the auto pen again to what are they, maybe 3, 4, 5-year-old kids? Talking about Joe Biden, the auto pen, selling his signature for $25,000 on eBay. I mean, this guy's just fucking, he's in La La Land, okay? This guy is fucking looping it out of this fucking reality. He is not on this universe anymore. The fucking brain has left the chat. It is gonzo, bye-bye, sayonara, arrivederci, fucking peace out. It's over. It's bye-byes, gone. It's it. That's it. The horn has sounded. The whistle has blown, folks, on the fucking cognitive abilities of Donald Trump here. Talking to, again, 3, 2, 3, 4-year-old kids about Joe Biden's auto pen. Okay.
He was incapable of signing, so they'd follow him around with a big machine. You know what it was called? An auto pen.
He's quite literally describing the machine, okay? He's describing an auto pen machine to these kids like they give a flying fuck. Sign it, shut the fuck up, give me my chocolate, beat feet grandpa, okay? They don't care about your Joe Biden auto pen bullshit. Like, what are we doing here? Again, as he's conducting this ridiculously destabilizing war that has caused so much hurt, not only to the people in this country, but to people all over the world, based on what they're paying, the problems of now their imports, clearly the instability caused in the Middle East itself. And this is what's going on.
And he'd have the auto pen signed for it. He'd take the paper, hand it to his guys, sign it with an auto pen. Not too good, right?
And again, he's talking to the kids. He's not talking to like an adult that you can't see pictured there. He's quite literally talking to the kids with a straight face, like it's a normal conversation, like he's going to get something in return. Like he's going to be like, oh, like the kids are going to be like, oh, that's interesting, Mr. President. Please tell me more about the auto pen. Like, what the fuck are we doing?
Better decide.
I think so.
That is good. I sign it. You sign it and you sell it tonight on eBay. 25,000.
I mean, you've got to laugh. You've got to laugh. That is the president of the United States, a man who is approaching his 9th decade. His 9th decade, he's been president of the United States twice. He's had one of the most extraordinary lives, political lives, whatever you think about him, of anybody who has ever lived. And there he is at the Easter weekend, sat amongst a group of toddlers, talking to them about Joe Biden and the auto pen, and asking them what they think, these 4-year-olds, about the auto pen, and then asking them what they think about the fake news. I don't know what Don is expecting in terms of a response. I mean, it'd probably be more erudite than anything he's capable of, but nonetheless, that is what we're looking at. We're looking at the president of the United States talking to a group of children about an auto pen. Imagine if that had been Joe Biden. Joe Biden talking and expecting some sort of response from a group of people who can barely walk, asking them about a political controversy that briefly illuminated the American political sky for about 30 seconds 3 years ago or 2 years ago. That's what we're talking about here. And meanwhile, and this is all just one weekend, right? We're not just like traipsing around, scrambling around through the archives, trying to put together a case here. Frankly, it's a matter of what not to play to you this morning from what has happened this weekend. This is Trump suggesting that when he's done with the presidency of the United States, or who knows, perhaps he'll do it concurrently like some sort of Holy Roman Emperor, he might run for the president of Venezuela.
The people of Venezuela, they say if I ran for president of Venezuela, I'm polling higher than anybody has ever polled in Venezuela. So after I'm finished with this, I can go to Venezuela. I will quickly learn Spanish. It won't take too long. I'm good at language. And I will go to Venezuela.
I mean, again, it's getting kind of lost in the sauce as far as the craziness that this guy came out and said this weekend or in the week, leading up to this. But fucking, I'm good at language is just a ridiculous statement. It's just a diabolically ridiculous statement for a fucking president to make. I'm good at language is wild, especially for a guy that can't fucking master the language of English. Seemingly thinks now he's going to be fucking fluent in Spanish and go and somehow serve as president of Venezuela. Again, what polling is going on in Venezuela as to the popularity of Donald? Like the ridiculousness of this is just again, it's a sideshow. It's a fucking it's a piece of theater. But again, this is the mind. This is what's going on in the mind of this fucking lunatic. He actually believes this shit, okay? He actually believes that his popularity now in Venezuela is the highest among anybody that's ever run for politics inside of Venezuela, and that, in fact, he could, once not, again, possibly being president of the United States for another fucking term, if he can't steal that, if he can't sit his fat ass into the fucking White House again for another fucking 4 years like he wants to do, or maybe just never leave power, he's going to go down to Venezuela and utilize his fluent Spanish that he's going to learn. Meanwhile, he doesn't know how to say ideologically, or he doesn't know what was the phrase that he fucked up. To the spoils go the victor. To the victor go the spoils. Right? Like he couldn't even think of that in the moment. Like what do you call it? The enemy. Fuck it. What did he say? He said some weird fucking portion of it. He said it backwards, but it's like his brain's melting out of his shoes at the same time. He's trying to come up with these sayings, but he believes it. I have no doubt that he believes it. But this is why we're a laughing stock. Like you can see Louis Goodall is quite literally like he said it. He said, you got to laugh. Like this is just fucking, it's insane to a point that we've not seen ever. Like this is just, it's out of control. It's at the same time, it's expected. It's still shocking to see, right? That's kind of like the timeline that we're in.
For president, but we're very happy with
the victim. That's what it was. That's what he said, Fish. To the victim. Yeah, to the victim go the spoils. Oh my God. To the winner. Fucking the guy is just he I don't know. At every turn, every time he gets in front of a microphone, it's just more and more embarrassing to us. It just kind of it oozes desperation every time he's in front of a camera. And again, it just poses more threat to the world every time the guy fucking speaks. But all right, just another minute of this, and then we'll finish it off with an update here from Preston about what's taking place in Ukraine and the the difficulties that Russia has seen over the past month and the exorbitant amount of people, men and equipment they've lost in the last month. So just another minute of this.
Elect that we have right now.
I want you to ring 0345 6060 973 if you've got any real justification or idea for how we cannot conclude that the President of the United States is senile. On the basis of everything that we've just heard there, and that's just a few clips. We've had a weekend where the President of the United States is issuing profane tweets or truths or whatever it is that he happens to call them, threatening war crimes against the people of Iran. There are people in Washington, D.C. even muttering darkly about the possibility of the use of nuclear weapons in Iran. We've got the President of the United States telling us that the Straits of Hormuz are completely unimportant and in a war that is basically over already or ended 4 weeks ago, but by the way, might go on for another 3 or 4 weeks still. And yet none of us are talking about whether this president of the United States is suitable or appropriate to remain in the office. So there are two questions.
To the contrary, we've all been talking about that. We've all been warning against that, at least here in our crew, about his senility, about his incapable, how incapable he is at serving, how demented he is in the mind, how sick he is. What a sociopathic, fucking maniacal, genocidal freak the guy is. Like, we have been kind of telling everybody, like, I've been raising my hand a lot, screaming into this fucking microphone, looking into that camera, telling everybody that exact same thing. Lewis, I know you're on the other side of the pond, my good friend, but maybe he's speaking about Britain in particular. I'll give him that one. I'll give him a pass on that one. Maybe he's speaking about Britain in particular. But here in the United States, there are absolutely channels that you could be watching where for the last 10 or 11 years, we've been telling you about how fucking out of control, how deluded and demented this guy is, how dumb and stupid and incompetent and fucking dangerous, and how much of a sexual fucking deviant the guy is. And we've had ample evidence to back our statements up. But again, doesn't seem like the right side of politics in this country wanted to listen to us. But at least, like I said earlier, and like we were reporting on earlier, a few of them are now coming out of the woodwork. Like I said, Marjorie Taylor Greene calling for the 25th. You got Candace Owens calling for the 25th. You got Tucker Carlson calling for the 25th. You got Piers Morgan coming out calling it madness. Alex Jones again calling for the 25th. A bunch of them out there. So, and then multiple Democratic politicians calling for the 25th. So again, this is kind of stoking the flames both inside of the United States and outside of the United States, both with rhetoric and actions per the United States military. But again, just kind of switching gears here to kind of round it out today. Here's a little bit of Preston Stewart giving us an update, finally not on the war in Iran and the ridiculous rhetoric of Donald Trump, but talking about how Russia lost 35,000 troops in 31 days. Let me repeat that. 35,000 troops in 31 days. Now, you just fucking take that, stick it in your pipe, and smoke it if anybody's out there kind of still supporting Russia, and then kind of compare that to whether or not the United States and what the reaction of the United States would be if, in fact, say, in the next 31 days in the Iran war, we lose 35,000 of our troops. What the reaction would be, right? And again, that just kind of gives you some perspective as to the willingness, the ability of the Russians to sustain and put up with losses like that without it affecting their, without it affecting the citizenry and their pushback against the government, without it affecting the government's use or, again, tactics used in this war. They just fucking, again, it's just like another month, nothing to see here, 35,000 dead or wounded, a huge uptick in the amount of casualties that they've seen. But again, doesn't matter. They're more than willing. They have more than enough people to throw into that meat grinder. But again, before I run out of time, here's a little update here from Preston Stewart about the plight, the problems that the Russians have been facing recently and how it's led directly to this substantial death count, this substantial, casualty report that we've been seeing over the last month or so here.
All right, what's going on, everyone? So it has been a rough spring for the Russian armed forces, the soldiers specifically, the ones forced to charge the front in Ukraine. More than 35,000 of them were killed or seriously wounded in the month of March alone. It's a new record.
Jen says, polling for Trump in Venezuela at 100% per cat turds analytics. I have absolutely no doubt. That if he put that out, he would absolutely believe that was the case too. And what's going on, Don? How are you? Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you, Jeff. Thank you, buddy. And appreciate the pictures that you sent in too, my friend. Anybody that's buying the merch, if you could send in a picture, again, if you want your picture shown, let me know. We could put it on the website or we could show. I didn't really ask Jeff yet, so I didn't have it uploaded yet, but we'll see if we can have that ready for next time.
This is a staggering number. Like, long ago, we stopped being able to compare Russian losses to anything the United States has experienced in modern warfare. 35,000 in a month is insane. Again, killed or seriously wounded, as in not coming back to the fight anytime soon. And these aren't just estimates.
Removed from the battlefield. Okay, so we're talking about extensive injury. We're talking about extensive rehab needed. We're talking about substantial change in the lives of these people if in fact they did make it through whatever attack or action they got wounded in. But again, the fact that there are this many people that they have to report taken off the battlefield, now having to be cared for, again, now not on and serving the Russian military as far as being on the front lines. If this continues like this, again, we've talked about the weather changing. We've talked about how, the extended daylight you get in the summer months also, leads to more conflict, leads to more action by both sides. The ground thawing up, right? When the snow melts, when the rainy season comes to an end and the ground finally starts to thaw out, they can start utilizing more of the armored capabilities and kind of going off of the designated routes that they had to use through the winter months because of the capabilities of or the probabilities, I should say, of the armor getting stuck in the mud or stuck in the fields or whatever it was. We saw, ample video of the Russians trying to make it through these fields in even smaller sized armored vehicles and getting stuck, and even in some motorcycles and ATVs still not making it through the Rasputitsa type mud that they have when the snow melts and the rainy season hits. But again, as the ground thaws, as the days start getting longer, as the temperature rises, and you're not so worried about survival and hypothermia and dying in the trenches on the front line, that's when we start to see action kicked up. That's when the most action happens in these conflicts. So to the fact that we're seeing 35,000 before the spring and summer offensive months really take really have an impact or really take effect here, we really start getting into the spring and summer offensive months. You can only see if we start getting to the 40, right? We start getting to the 45,000. I mean, we're talking about a substantial amount of losses. We're talking about a substantial amount of Russian troops taken off the battlefield in a short period of time there, which is something that we need to see. We need to see that as dark as it is to say, we need to see that kill ratio, consistently being up there and continuously rising as far as the amount of Russians taken out compared to the amount of Ukrainians that are being lost on the battlefield as well. So the higher that we see that ratio, the better off it is for the Ukrainians. Of course, the amount of territory taken back also has an effect and impact not only on morale, but also on propaganda victories as far as utilizing that on the world stage to better their negotiating position on the world stage, whatever it may be, if it comes down to that. But there's a lot of good as far as been coming out of the recent actions of the Ukrainians, the recent successes, not only with this, but also striking inside of Russia, hitting different ports. We saw in Ust-Luga, we saw several other ports that were hit, which is obviously having a huge impact on Russia's ability to export the oil, even if it does have the ability to extract it from the ground. They have no place to store it. It's getting backed up, as we talked about with with Jake Bro when he was on the broadcast, how kind of the system in place is made for it to keep flowing and not for that substantial cutoff and not for it to just stop flowing like that. So it creates more problems on the back end as well. So let's just go into another couple minutes. I know I'm kind of over time as it is, but let's see if we can just dive into another couple minutes and see what kind of problems the Russians have been facing. And again, how they're not really impacted or affected by it as the way you and I would be here in the United States, if in fact these were United States military personnel that we were talking about in this regard.
That are thrown out there and, we dropped a bomb or we fired this many artillery rounds, that generally equates to this many casualties. No, these are kills that are verified on video. So according to Ukrainian President Zelensky, he said, quote, Russian losses in March reached the highest level of the war. Only due to our drone strikes, 33,988 Russian soldiers were killed or seriously injured, and another 1,363 occupiers were eliminated by artillery and other strikes. In other words, there have been more than 35,000 Russian losses in a single month, and these are clearly confirmed losses. We have video footage of every such strike in our system. And we've got a lot of that footage too. I mean, not 33,000 strikes. Andrew Perpetua probably ran through all of that footage, or at least all the publicly available footage to document all of his data. But that, I'm not a math guy, but that's greater than 95% of casualties during the month of March being caused by drones. If people are kind of trying to figure out like how much of an impact drones are having in this war, that's it right there. It would be significant if drones were 10% of casualties, 20%. If it approached 50%, it would be groundbreaking. 95+% in the month of March due to drones. That is the war that is being fought right now. In fact, an interesting aspect here is,
and again, this is over the last 24 hours, just diving into the through line here. This is the numbers for the last 24 hours here. The estimates of Russia's losses for April 7th, another 980, almost 1,000 troops taken off the battlefield to bring the number up to 1.3 million removed as far as dead or wounded from the battlefield. And of course, these substantial numbers that continue, on from there, whether it be armored personnel vehicles or vehicles and fuel tanks, artillery systems, UAVs, MLRSs. Again, the substantial amount of special equipment taken out, anti-aircraft warfare, cruise missiles, helicopters, planes, you name it, even 2 submarines. Again, for a country that has no Navy, that's pretty fucking good, gotta say. But, we continue to see this uptick. And even as this is kind of like halved. I think the largest that we saw was like some 710 as far as the last month is concerned. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. That's the highest that I saw. So even as far as this being like half of that, it's still a substantial amount of soldiers taken off the battlefield, either killed or wounded in this regard. So to see that this is half and still at this level just goes to show you the amount of effect that the drones are having, as we talk about the percentage that the drones are responsible for taking out as far as the dead or wounded on a whole.
Russia and Ukraine are playing this kind of game of cat and mouse, because there are areas where each side is faster to innovate or comes up with new techniques where they're just able to outdo the other for a period of time. And generally what happens is, say, Russia will come up with a tactic. The fiber optics was a good example, where Russia was really the first one that started to use that in significant numbers. So then Ukraine picked up on it. Now Ukraine uses fiber optics in large numbers. So it's this kind of constant back and forth, which is why I thought it would be.
But that's just, that's warfare in general, right? I mean, we've seen that. I mean, you go back to any war since fucking time began, since men have been on this fucking planet. That the way in which war progresses is trying to combat and defend against whatever technological advancements the other side has, and then also trying to come up with your advancements for them to have to combat and defend against. So that's just kind of how the warfare has progressed over time. They started off World War I thinking that was going to be fought almost the exact same way as wars before that, and quickly realized and found out that war had progressed to a much, much different place. And that trenches were needed, and that artillery was a huge fucking problem. That it was going to be more casualties and more destruction seen because of Maxim machine guns, or you name it. The advancements in weaponry kind of distinguished and made it possible for warfare to change. And that's what we continue to see here, whether it be by drone, whether it be fucking the artillery systems and how they're able to locate or how they're able to be utilized. The whole thing is just a cat and mouse game. They come up with a one-up on us, then we have to figure out how to defend against that. We come up with a one-up on them, they have to figure out how to defend against that. But again, the way in which that Ukrainians have been able to utilize and again stay out ahead, I believe, of the whole drone war, of utilizing and being able to again put into action the amount of drones and have the success that they've had in this war is again setting them apart, is keeping them kind of one step ahead of the Russians, even with some of the the other weapons platforms that they've had to kind of mitigate or defend against, or kind of come up with some sort of defense on the fly for. So again, next time we take a look at what's going on the show tomorrow, we'll see if we can dive into more of the frontline updates on Ukraine and see what's taking place in some of the different different theaters on the front line. We tried to kind of dive around, bounce around as far as the coverage and see if we can, utilize to the best of our ability the time that we have here to stay as informed and up to date on what's going on inside of Ukraine. Not only that, but obviously heavily diving into the war in Iran and what that means for you guys, what that means for us as far as prices that we're paying, as far as obviously, continuation and escalation of the war. So we'll be diving into that. I didn't see if I got any, I didn't get any late breaking news headlines. So hopefully we didn't miss anything while we were on the show. If any news is to break, if anything substantial happens, obviously tonight, a lot of people are going to be fucking eyes on, kind of looking at what's taking place as the deadline rolls around. Obviously, the continued strikes by Israel on bridges, the strikes by the U.S. on Karg Island. Remains to be seen what the secondary impacts or secondary actions are to come from that. Or again, this is just the softening up for what's coming tonight. Remains to be seen, but we'll be here covering it for you. Any breaking news, we'll see if we can pop back on, give you the updates, give you the insight. If not, we got 2 shows tomorrow to bring you the headlines. We got one tomorrow at 1 o'clock Eastern time. That's an hour show. And then tomorrow night, we got a full show at 8:30 p.m. Right here on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, Substack, the whole 9 yards. So thank you guys for your passion. Thank you guys for your aggression. What do you say we get into thanking some people for their generosity today? Let's see if we can start with the Venmo people to say thank you to anybody kind enough to contribute via Venmo. If you want to kick in a buck or two, the Venmo QR code is right up here somewhere in this general vicinity. If you take a picture of that, that is the easiest and quickest way to send a contribution to the channel. And we do thank everybody that does contribute that way. So shout out first. Oh, thank you so much, Nancy. Nancy, we do appreciate you. My Patreon message, old people don't belong in a mosh pit. Now, I don't know if that's for me or you, because I recently found myself in a mosh pit at the Dropkick Murphys concert, but I would love to hear the story if you just recently found yourself in a mosh pit, because that would be fucking fun. That would be fun. But God bless you, Nancy. Thank you so much for your contributions, your support over the years. I can't tell you how much it means to me. It's really appreciated, and your kindness goes a long way. So thank you so much for your kind contribution on Venmo. And then thank you so much to Roger C. As well. Thank you so much from Karen and Roger. You guys are the best. Continue to be the best, and I can't thank you enough. And then I like to go back a couple days here and thank some people over the last few days. So I'll say Cindy, thank you so much. Nancy, again, thank you so much. Roxanne, much appreciated, dear. Tom Alterboy, hope you're well. Thinking about you, my brother. Thank you so much to Teague as well. Thank you so much to Yakov, Damon, V. Sawyer, Roger. Who else here? Jenny, Faye, Claudia over the last couple days. Jen, thank you so much, Jen. Tom and Victoria, you guys are amazing as well. Garrett, Peter, Candy, Tanya. I appreciate you guys over the last few days. Anybody that's contributed to the show. Again, leave a comment, like the stream afterwards, anything that you guys can do to kind of boost the interaction, boost the algorithm as far as the show is concerned. Please do that. But thank you guys so much to everybody on Venmo. Let's thank everybody over here on YouTube. And I'll see if I can get you guys out of here. So thank you so much to Patrick. As always, 2 years, brother. Let's go. Congratulations. Congratulations and thank you so much, Patrick, for being here for 24 months, 2 years as a member. Let's fucking go. Keep up the great work. I'm definitely not a financial backer. I love it. I love it. I love this running joke that we got. I love it. I appreciate you, Patrick, more than you'll know, brother. Congratulations and a big thank you again for your continued support, being here as a member. Your kind contributions, and again, you putting up with my bullshit. I appreciate it. So appreciate you, dude. Thank you so much to Graham as well. 22 years again. Let's go. Everybody hitting their milestone. I fucking love it. I love to see it, guys. Love to see it. Thank you so much to Grams. Trump has only read a stop sign and his lips moved. Oh, you guys fucking crack me up. But congratulations, Grams. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate your loyalty. Thank you for being here for the 2 years of our members, for the membership. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, Stoneflower Dragon. Hitting Karg is fucking useless. No one can keep it. Well, again, if that's why I said it's not useless if there's secondary actions that are already planned. Right? If he's thinking about, as he said multiple times, how much he's dying to get in there and take the oil, it's all just sitting there ready for the taking, as he said it was, right? He talked about how, we were dumb for not taking the oil out of Iraq. We were dumb for not utilizing and extracting natural resources and minerals out of Afghanistan or whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? Like he thinks that, to the victor go the spoils, that we should be able to steal something. We should be able to fucking raid and pillage and plunder this country because we conquered them. Right. So I wouldn't put it past him, whether it's he's got ships lined up or whether I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't. But there would need to be boots on the ground for them to extract that oil. There would need to be boots on the ground for them to not only seize the oil, but also get and utilize that oil to be pumped into ships and how they're going to get through the strait. It's a whole fucking mess, Stoneflower Dragon. It really is. But as far as it being useless, you know what I mean? I understand what you're saying, but I definitely don't think that they do. So appreciate you, SFD. Thank you so much for your kind contributions. Thank you so much, Colleen, for this. This is amazing. I really do appreciate not only your kind words, but also that substantial contribution. So, Colleen, very much appreciate you. Hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful day. That goes for Brian as well. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate you, Bri. Thank you so much for the $20. Thank you so much for the $20 super chat. Hal Sparks sent me. Well, tell Hal Sparks I appreciate him to the ends of the earth and further. Very much appreciate him. Anybody not subscribed over there to our good friend Hal Sparks? Of course you are. He's got multitudes more than I do. So the fact that I'm trying to send people over there is probably laughable, but I will continue to do so because if you're not signed up there, if you're not subscribed to him, I would definitely recommend that to anybody. So thank you so much to Bri for your gift there, and thank you so much to Hal for sending you guys over. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much to Deb for the 5 gifted memberships. 5 fantastic members of the chat there are now going to get memberships for a month to the Boston Brian fucking fan club, or whatever. What do we call it? I forget what we call it now. Definitely not a fan club. That sounds awful. But definitely to the old clan. That sounds even worse. Can't say the clan either. Definitely to the community that we've built here. Let's roll with that one. So thank you, Deb. Appreciate you very, very much for everything that you do. Thank you, Jeff, as well. Jeff with a $10 contribution says he is already destroying our culture. Absolutely. Absolutely he is, Jeff, and has been for quite some time. So I second that comment. Definitely. Thank you, Karen, for becoming a new YouTube member. Very much appreciate that. Karen S. Not even going to take a shot at that. I want to, though. Kokoski. What is that? Karen Tchaikovsky. Is it Chi or Key? Kitchowski. You're gonna have to give me a second. Give me a couple shows on that one, Karen. My apologies. Give me a couple. I'm gonna have to look that one up after the show. I'll get it right at some point, though. But thank you for becoming a new member. I really do appreciate you. Thank you for being here, and thank you, Steven, as well. Excuse me, for being here for 16 months, my brother. Lobsters Unite meeting at my house. Let's fucking go. We parties at Stevens, in case anybody's wondering. Party at Stevens. BYOB though. BYOB. Appreciate you, Steven. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you, Nola, as always, for the $10 super sticker. Awesome seeing you here. Really love to see you guys contributing like this. Love to see you in the chat. Appreciate you guys, as always. What's up, Tiff? What's happening? What's up? Sorry I yelled at you on Amanda's pan. All good. I understood. We're all up there busting each other's balls at some point anyway. So appreciate you just for watching. Appreciate you engaging, and thank you so much for your contributions, Tiff. We appreciate you. Hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much to Jin, polling in Venezuela at 100% per cat turds analytics. I guarantee that's somewhere posted on his site. As facetious as you're being and as jokingly as it said, you can almost be sure that it's posted somewhere. Oh, thank you so much, Michael McAndrews, too. Thanks for being there, Brian. No, thank you for being here with me, Michael. It means the world to me. Not only that, if you guys weren't here watching, I'd just be a lunatic talking to myself. So it's, because of the support and the generosity of you guys that we are able to do this. And hopefully we can continue to grow the channel. We're trying to get to 20K, guys. Trying to get to 20K. Let's see if we can get there. See if we can go check out the shorts that I've been putting out, the different videos on Substack, Blue Sky, Instagram. If you utilize those platforms, search my platform out, search out the account, see if you can like and boost and share out the videos and stuff, because we're really trying to grow this platform. We're hoping to continue to be on the rise that we've seen and continue to build upon this community that we've built here. And it's only with your help that we're going to be able to do it. So thank you so much to Michael for your contribution. Thank you so much to, who is next? JD. 2 years for JD too. Today's like the 2-year mark for a bunch of people. Bunch of OGs in here hitting the 2-year mark. So thank you to JD, not only for the 2 years, but also for the super sticker, my dude. Thank you so much to Tamra. Thank you for the $2 super sticker, Tamra. Appreciate you. Thank you, Corey, for the $20 super sticker. Much appreciated, my friend. Always good to see you here. Seems like a pattern here that I'm sensing, and I really appreciate it. I do. Thank you for your contributions. Thank you for being here, as much as you are, and not only being here, but contributing and being engaged and stuff. So it means a lot. It really does, Corey. Appreciate you. And then Candy, so awesome to see you. I appreciate you, Candy. Sorry I haven't been around much lately. Bad subscriber. Oh, shut up. Zip it. No such thing as a bad subscriber. Like I say, whether you guys are taking a couple days off for your mental health, whether you guys have family things to take, whatever it may be, I'm not going to be here bitching and complaining that you guys aren't here for a show or two. I mean, come on. You guys know that, Candy. I know you're joking around, but just in case anybody's new, there's no such thing as like a little contribution. There's no such thing as a bad subscriber. I know you guys have your own lives to lead. I know there's too many things going on in today's society and the things you guys have to worry about to be here every single show. So I'm not that naive to think that like I am, I'm that big of a draw where you guys are like putting away the important things they have to get done in the day to watch me. Maybe some people are, and I appreciate you for those who are. But Candy, I appreciate you. No such thing as a bad subscriber. That goes for everybody else as well. Thank you to Vincent, member for 18 months. Let's go. Fucking love seeing you guys hitting these milestones. Lobster Claw Club. Thank you, Vincent. Very much appreciate you, brother. Is that what you're holding? Is that a lobster claw in your hand in that picture? That's fucking hilarious if it is. Thank you so much, Vincent. Appreciate you. Thank you so much to Jen for 19 months. Let's go. Working so much. Sorry. Again, no sorries involved here. No sorries involved here for you guys working and trying to put food on the table in this unstable, uncertain time that we're living in. So love you guys for all that you can do whenever you can do it. Thank you for your contributions, and thank you for helping in the chat. And also thank you so much for being a member here, Jen. As always, give a shout out to the mister for me. Thank you so much to Chris for 9 months. Regime change now, enough already. I absolutely agree, very much so. And then rounding it out today is Mad Mac with the 2547, which is definitely a very on-point reference for the 25th Amendment for the 47th president. But yes, I do believe, and I was saying it last night, and we'll end on this one. And again, as the days go by, it seems like the radicalization because of the politics, the politicians and politics in this country, and also what's taking place abroad, seems to continuously rung me up on that ladder of radicalization. And I promise I can say that word at some point. I said it right the first time. Why I can't say it right the second time, I don't know. Radicalization. There it goes. Bam, boom, got it. Nice, sweet. But I do think at some point we're going to have like, I don't know, a month-long protest, a month-long protest inside of Washington, D.C., where, we can continue to like revolve people inside and out, because I know they got us by the balls basically right now, because everybody wants to get out there and protest, but nobody can afford to take the time off of work. Or, if you do, if you are able to take the time off of work, you have kids, or there's always something else in the way, which is why we continuously see the protest happen on weekends. And then you got people complaining that it's not enough of a disruption and that doing it on weekends is just kind of playing into their hands. I do absolutely agree with that to a certain extent, but it's a give and take on how many people you can get to show up at a certain period of time. And again, whereas people are in these financially uncertain times where this economy is working against the American people so much, they just can't afford to take time off of work. So again, if we have this kind of month-long rally, month-long protest in Washington, D.C., that gives ample amount of time for people to show up. If you can show up for a day, if you can show up for an hour, if you can show up for a week, that'll give people the ability to do that. And then maybe while you're leaving, somebody else is having the ability to show up, right? And that way we can continuously have this like revolving door of at least a certain group of people shutting shit down, causing a fucking ruckus, making our passions known, making our like displeasure for what this regime is up to known, right? Like that's what's going to have to happen. Like it's unfortunately money speaks, money talks in this world, and us as the working class of this country make it so these corporations and these CEOs can make their fucking millions and billions of dollars. And until we shut the shit down and until we stop showing up to make them the money, this shit is just going to continue on the hamster wheel that it is. And unfortunately, nothing comes of nothing really of importance comes without sacrifice. Whether you talk about the civil rights movement or you talk about, any of these other, kind of historical times and periods that we've gone through as a society, really none of it was done without at least aggressive action. And unfortunately, sometimes, the unfortunate sacrifice, in different aspects of it. But that's just kind of what I'm feeling. I feel like we've crossed the, we've kind of crossed the Rubicon. Donald Trump's statements have kind of ended the American experiment as far as the reputation of the United States on the world stage. I feel like that's fucking done and dusted. That's fucking gone and buried. But now we're kind of, we're rapidly coming up on that line in the sand of no return as far as the destabilization, as far as the danger and the price increase is concerned, depending on how far this escalates and how long it goes on. So again, that's just my feelings. A month-long kind of general strike. I know we got the general strike coming up May 1st, right? As Anita is saying here, May 1st is next protest, general strike. But again, I think it's going to take more than a day. It's going to take more than multiple singular events, in my opinion. I just feel like the bigger the event, the more disruptive the event, the more coverage the event gets, and the more it costs the people, the attention, the people that we want to get the attention of, the more beneficial it's going to be, the more impact it's going to have, and the better chance we have of actually seeing some change come from it is when people start recognizing that they're not getting these billions of dollars flowing in every day. Nobody's showing up to work. They're not able to go buy their 14th yacht. They're not able to go buy their 17th fucking helicopter. And then they start looking at why, and it's because all of the workers are in the street in fucking Washington, D.C., banging on the fence, breaking the fence down, trying to get these fucking politicians and the president to understand the genocidal war crimes and the fucking detriment to society he's now fucking laid upon us. But again, that's just me. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment after the video is posted. I thank you guys for chatting the whole time. But again, this video gets posted. I think it's like some 15, 20 minutes after the end of the show. See if you can come back, leave a comment, leave a like. Share this stream out to different people. If you could kind of refer to the show or mention it in different chats, don't be annoying. Don't kind of overpower the show, obviously, that you're watching. But, if you're watching a show where similar aspects or similar kind of things are being talked about and you think people in the chat may also like this stream, like this podcast, see if you can drop in a lobster, see if you can throw in blunt politics, see if you can, maybe spark some debate. Maybe people start asking questions as to what it is. And then we can start getting some more curious people checking out the show and inevitably grow the platform. So, again, thank you so much to the mods for everything that you guys do, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, or Substack. You guys are all very kind, and I'm very fortunate to have you around and to have you as part of the crew here, part of the team, keeping this thing going. I will never get sick of telling you guys how much I appreciate you, and that goes for both the mods and this fantastic community, this fantastic chat that we've built here. I really do thank you guys a lot, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. We're going to be covering what's going on, though. We're going to keep our eyes kind of glued to, the actions of the U.S. military, the actions of both Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu and Donald Trump, and we'll be kind of impatiently awaiting tonight's deadline and what's going to come from that. So, if I can hop back on with some other information, if anything kind of breaks, anything big happens, we'll see if we can pop back on and kind of bring you the breaking news. So hit that like button on the way out. Again, thank you guys so much to all the Patreons that showed up last night for the the Patreon Zoom meetup. I really do appreciate all the support and everybody kind of bearing with me as we do the whole kind of revamping, the reworking of the Patreon and the perks and the merch store. Head over to bostonbryant.com. That gives you all the information to all of my social media links. That tells you when the show is on, gives you my show schedule, and that also has a big link on there for the Blunt Politics shop, where you can get fantastic merch like this. You can get fantastic hats, mugs, stickers, totes, the whole 9 yards. So, if there's something on there that kind of, tickles your fancy, please think about supporting the show in any way possible, whether it's memberships just underneath me, patreon.com, Venmo up in the corner. I know the self-promotional aspect of this sucks and I hate it. And that's probably why I'm struggling the way I am. But, we're trying to do things the right way, independently, on our own accord, without kind of outside resources telling us what to do, what we can say, what we can't say. It's a slow roll. It's a slow haul, but we're trucking through. We're getting there. And it's, it's all thanks to you guys here in the community that we're able to get this far. So thank you guys. Thank you, Pops. Thank you, everybody else watching. I will see you guys tomorrow for the double header. That's 2 shows tomorrow on Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen. 2 shows tomorrow on Wednesday. First one being at 1 p.m. tomorrow on the East Coast. And then tomorrow night, obviously, we got the 8:30 p.m. night show. So stay tuned, stick around, make sure you hit the notification bell. Hopefully that tells you when we go live. And then again, don't forget to hit out the Blunt Politics shop at bostonbryant.com to check out all of the information, all of, again, the social media sites. Check out the merch. We got some great merch. Stop pretending your racism is patriotism. Fascist fighter. Big fan of human rights. Chinga la migra. People of quality don't fear equality. resist, 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 and then only you can resist fascist liars. That is just a little example, a small example of some of the merch we have on there. Don't forget that if you sign up at the Patreon, you get access to the perks there, whether it be the sticker, whether it be the canvas tote bag, and obviously putting into effect some of the discounts that you'll get on the merch as well. And then obviously, as far as supporting Ukraine, we're going to continue to do the utmost we possibly can to make sure that we're supporting the people of Ukraine, whether it be via the NAFO 69 Sniffing Brigade campaigns that we're ready to do again, ready to get another one started, as we just saw oh, that's another thing I got to show you. Shit, I'll show you that tomorrow. Because I received in support of our contributions in our campaign a thank you video from the 72nd Separate Mechanized Brigade showing us that our truck that we are responsible for, that you guys are responsible for, to send to the front lines for that unit, has in fact reached the front lines. And again, they are extremely appreciative, and they sent us a nice little thank you video to thank everybody here at the Blunt Politics community for their contributions, for making this happen. And remind me tomorrow, Tiff, if you can, remind me to download that so I can play that on the show tomorrow. I appreciate you guys, and I'll let you guys go. Make sure you hit that like button on the way out. Follow me on all of the socials, please. Whether it's YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, Blue Sky, Facebook, Threads, TikTok, the whole 9 yards, Substack. Make sure you're following me. Search me out, please. See if we can build up this following on all platforms. So again, we can have the biggest reach possible. So thank you guys. Thank you, mods, as always. And I will see you guys tomorrow for the doubleheader. Again, hit that like button on the way out. I'm Boston Brian. Please subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 20,000 subscribers, and it's only with your help that we're going to get there. Stay loud, stay proud, stay aggressive. Please continue to be passionate about what you believe in. You are on the right side of history, and thank you so much for joining the resistance. Very much appreciate you, and we welcome you here in the opposition. So continue to fight hard. I'll see you tomorrow. All right, I'm out of here. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, good call, Tiff. Yeah, anybody in the chat that loves a good romance novel, I would absolutely point you in the direction of Victoria. That is our good friend and pal Tom in the chat. His wife is fantastic at these romance novels. I had the opportunity to kind of dig through one with Mel on the way over to California. But that website there, I would absolutely recommend you guys check out. That floats the boat. Shout out to Victoria. Thank you so much, Jeff, for bringing that up as well.
Army manned the air. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do. Oh, get those lights off! Off! Turn them off. They're too bright. Turn them off!
Call them dumps. Big, massive dumps.
You'll have a group of Venezuelan killers, street gangs, occupying the town with MK-47s. I know that gun very well. I got to know it. I've become an expert on guns.
He says rectum damn near killed him. Taking him back to Nevada where he's wanted for banging horses. I say mud, I said crud. You fall into some crud or something? What in the hell was that all about?
Hey, you got a little chubby going there.
Brian, you're drunk. You're drunk.
Gettysburg, what an unbelievable battle that was. The Battle of Gettysburg, what an unbelievable I mean, it was so much and so interesting and so vicious and horrible and so beautiful in so many different ways. It represented such a big portion of the success of this country. Gettysburg, wow. I go to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania to look and to watch. For miners, do we love miners? I love miners. To officially name the undisputed, when did this come out? We're a nation that just recently heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat your. God bless the United States. The undisputed champion of beautiful, clean coal. We're inviting Americans from all across the country to come.
It's a thought. Grow a sack, fill it with some balls.
The kidney has a very special place in the heart. It's an incredible thing. Eating the dogs, the people that came in, they're eating the cats, they're eating the pets of the people that live there.
All right, guys, I'll see you tomorrow for the doubleheader. Make sure you hit that like button on the way out. Thank you guys so much for everything that you do. Very much appreciate it. I'm out of here. See you tomorrow. Have a great day. Hopefully nothing too exciting happens. And then enough to talk about that. In case, notification bell.